Chapter 124. Lai Gu immediately followed along, subordinate thinks so as well. Yihua tightly wrinkled his brows and walked back and forth, feeling restless. What are you still lying on the floor for? Hurry up and scram back to your room. Wei Chang and Lai Gu were overjoyed, seems like his honor has thought things through. Subordinate will scram right now. Subordinate will scram right now. Yihua opened his computer and searched for the definition of love on Baidu. After searching for an entire night, he came to a conclusion. Loving her means hurting her. I'm afraid that this is a pirated website. Dawn quietly rose, Yihua lied on the boss's chair and fell asleep. Meanwhile, Qingye, who was in the bedroom, did not sleep for the entire night. Feeling that the entire bed was ice cold, she got off the bed and washed up, then opened the office door and discovered that Yihua was actually sleeping on the chair. Qingye did not say anything, closed the door and walked out of the bar. Not knowing how long had passed, Yihua woke up. The first thing he did was to light up a cigarette, and a hint of irritation could be seen in between his brows. After smoking the cigarette, Yihua walked out of his office and arrived at the bedroom. There was not a single person in the room, and the bed was neat and tidy. Could it be that this woman ran away from home? Yihua opened the wardrobe and discovered that Qingye's clothes were all there, even her shoes were all there. If this woman dares to leave, I will definitely tie her up. Arriving at sister-in-law's room, as expected, Qingye was hiding here, just that, she did not play games and was instead sleeping on her little sister's bed. The corner of Qingye's eyes were still moist. On the table was a packed breakfast box, which was completely empty. There was no portion for me. Is she really planning on divorcing me? Do you think that I won't be able to continue living without you? What a joke. What bullshit, love, this is completely bullshit. And also, this sister-in-law is actually giving me an attitude. All of you are really something. Qing Yutong was naturally standing on her big sister's side. Early in the morning, her big sister ran over with breakfast in her hands. Just that, her expression was not right. Her pair of beautiful eyes were red and swollen. This was the first time Qing Yutong saw her big sister like this. No need to think too much, she must have definitely been bullied by brother-in-law. In the past, when the two of them quarreled, the quarrel would end within a minute, and from the looks of it, the situation today is not good. Big sister did not even say a single word and just lied down to sleep, and when I asked her what happened, she did not even say a single word. Although the system wants me to push the blame to brother-in-law, it is not forced. Big sister suffered such a big injustice. As a little sister, I definitely have to stand up. If you provoke me, be careful, I will elopse with big sister. My poor sister, you're still being bullied by your brother-in-law even though you're pregnant. Little sister will take revenge for you. The scene of brother-in-law abusing big sister appeared in Qing Yutong's mind. I can't tolerate it. Qing Yutong could be seen suddenly standing up, and with a cold look on her beautiful face, she said, You. Come out. Qing Yutong's aura is not bad, it seems like she is going to risk her life. Yihua sneered. There has never been anyone who dared to speak to me like this, not even Qingye. The two of them walked out of the door and stared at each other. Qing Yutong was not weak at all, and her eyes were staring straight at Qing Yutong. Fuck, brother-in-law, this pervert, didn't even blink his eyes. My eyes are getting sore from staring at him. In an instant, Qing Yutong could be seen to have changed her strategy, and in an instant, she held onto Yihua's arm and said sweetly, Brother-in-law, recently, I found a good movie, Black Cat Police Officer. Wily, Yihua sneered in his heart. I want to see what kind of tricks this sister-in-law is playing. Let's go take a look. Yihua said faintly. Yes, yes, yes. Qing Yutong pulled Yihua into the office, and an exquisite dagger immediately appeared in her hand. With lightning speed, Qing Yutong pressed Yihua onto the sofa, and she even rode on top of Yihua and placed the sharp dagger onto Yihua's neck. No one would have thought that such an unexpected scene would happen. If Wei Chang and Lai Gu were here, they would definitely be stupefied. In his honor's entire life, he had never been played with like this before, and you, a little girl, actually dare to do this. Yihua also didn't expect that his sister-in-law would actually make such a move, and he was indeed a bit stupefied. However, this courage of hers is not bad, I have to look at her in a whole new light. Speak. Why do you want to bully my big sister? Qing Yutong shouted coldly, and from the looks of it, it didn't seem like she was joking. System face, master's personality that doesn't care about his life is back again. A cold glint appeared in Yihua's abstruse gaze. Do you know the consequences of doing this? I am not afraid. The cold glint in Qing Yutong's beautiful eyes became even deeper. Ever since I was young, it was my big sister who tolerated me. Although we are not from the same mother, our big sister is still closer than a biological sister. When Qing Yutong saw how wronged and how sad her big sister was, Qing Yutong wished that she could find her brother-in-law and fight it out with him. However, when she thought about that pitiful little nephew of hers, she endured it. However, when she saw that her brother-in-law did not say anything when he came in, she became angry again. Right now, I have indeed pushed down brother-in-law, but the dagger in my hand is currently pressed onto brother-in-law's throat. Qing Yutong, are you not afraid of death? Yihua asked gravely. Qing Yutong used a bit of strength, and a trace of blood flowed out from her skin. For my big sister, I am not afraid. A trace of black fog appeared on Yihua's finger, and he asked gravely, how important is your big sister to you? She is my everything. Qing Yutong roared. Don't think that the reason why Qing Yutong didn't become the best actress was completely for fun. The reason why Qing Yutong shamelessly stayed here was so that she could push down brother-in-law. Qing Yutong only wanted to protect her big sister, that's all. When I was young, I was always taken care of by my big sister, and Qing Yutong decided that after I grow up, I will take care of my big sister. Even if Yihua did not appear, Qing Yutong would still shamelessly mix around with her big sister, then stay in her big sister's house, and kill anyone who has improper thoughts towards her big sister. Unexpectedly, she found out that her big sister actually had a man. After these few days, she felt that they were quite compatible. Brother-in-law was also very formidable, and he was enough to protect big sister. Sometimes, they would quarrel, but they would reconcile very quickly. However, today was different, and this made Qing Yutong very angry. Hearing Qing Yutong's roar, Yihua went into a daze, and the black fog on his finger gradually disappeared. Speak, why did you bully my big sister? My big sister is so kind, she wouldn't even step on an ant. Speak. Qing Yutong's emotions were very out of control as she shook Yihua. Yihua took a deep breath. Your big sister wants to divorce me. Ah. You definitely bullied my big sister, that's why my big sister said such words. Because I don't accompany her to take wedding photos. Yihua said faintly. Qing Yutong was a bit stupefied. This is different from what I thought, shouldn't it be big sister being tied up by brother-in-law? And then, big sister angrily brought up the divorce, and looking at the traces of blood on brother-in-law's neck, I'm finished, master, you better pray for your own good luck, I will be leaving first. Qing Yutong's gaze drifted about, embarrassedly kept the small dagger and said in a low voice, brother-in-law, it's a misunderstanding, it's all a misunderstanding, I forgot to turn off my computer, I will go and turn it off. Stop right there. Yihua sat up and shouted gravely. Touching onto his neck and looking at the traces of blood on his hand, Yihua did not know what kind of mood he was in. A drop of blood from my fleshly body was actually ruined by my sister-in-law's hands. Qing Yutong swallowed her saliva. I'm finished. I'm finished, brother-in-law is going to flip out. Chapter 125. Yihua said coldly, come over. Brother-in-law, if you have something to say, we can talk about it properly, we are also respectable people, it isn't good to use weapons. Where was Qing Yutong's imposing manner from just a moment ago? Yihua decided that today, he must definitely teach this sister-in-law a lesson. To actually dare to point a knife at me, she must have eaten too much dragon meat. Get down. Yihua pointed at his leg and shouted. Qing Yutong was startled, and her small face collapsed as she pouted her small mouth. brother-in-law, Yutong knows that I am wrong, I will report you, I have a lot of big sister's dark history, can I use my good deeds to make up for my bad deeds? Get down. Qing Yutong dejectedly lied on Yihua's legs, brother-in-law, be gentler. Raise your butt. Qing Yutong's perky buttock stuck out, she was quite cooperative. Pa. Ah. Stab me with a knife. Do you still dare to do it? Yihua shouted out gravely. I must definitely teach this sister-in-law of mine a lesson. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts, brother-in-law, be gentler. Pa. Ah. Brother-in-law, spare me, Yutong will not dare to do it again. Pa. Ah. Brother-in-law. Brother-in-law. Daddy. Daddy, spare me. Right now, Qing Yutong was already incoherent with her speech, it really hurts. Meanwhile, the more Yihua fought, the more excited he became. Suddenly, the sound of pa 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 resounded in the office, and Qing Yutong's tender moan of pain could be heard mixed within. How was this a punishment? This was simply a reward in disguise. Congratulations, master. You have completed the first mission. Qing Yutong, who was currently being spanked, went into a daze. Master, your brother-in-law accidentally touched your thigh just now. Qing Yutong suddenly came to a realization. Brother-in-law has such a good scheme, since he is able to take advantage of me, he is still able to do it so openly, brilliant. It was too high. Yihua expressed that his hands slipped a bit just now. This Qing Yutong's skin is rather slippery, the feeling of hitting is not bad, it is very elastic. The one who is suffering is Qing Yutong, isn't brother-in-law too heavy-handed with his attacks? It seems like he is even venting his anger on my sister-in-laws, but brother-in-law is so shameless, who asked Qing Yutong to step into the muzzle of the gun. To begin with, Yihua's mood wasn't that good. I definitely won't be able to beat up my wife. Didn't this sister-in-law send over to be beaten up by me? How much longer are you going to lie there? Yihua had already stopped his hands for a very long time, while his sister-in-law was lying there motionlessly. Qing Yutong's beautiful face was completely red as she said in a small voice, I can't move anymore. If you dare do this again, even your sister won't be able to save you. Brother-in-law, Yutong knows her mistake. I promise that there won't be a next time. Qing Yutong struggled to stand up. Right now, not only was her butt hurting, she even felt that she had to go and change into a pair of pants. Yihua waved his hand, and Qing Yutong limped out of the office. In her heart, Yihua scolded her brother-in-law for being shameless. Who would hit their sister-in-law like this? Didn't I already apologize to her? It hurts so much. Ouch, my little butt is already swollen. After sitting for a while, Yihua walked out of leisure bar. His stomach was a bit hungry, luckily that Chinese crepe stall did not close. Add eggs and ham sausage. Yihua walked to the side of the stall and said. The auntie took a look at Yihua, then began to make breakfast while saying unhurriedly, young man, you have also been eating breakfast at auntie's place for a few years, auntie doesn't feel that you are a bad person. Yihua was stupefied. If I, the Supreme Overlord, am not a bad person, then who is a bad person? Did everyone think that they were living too well during this period of time? However, it is not right for you to hit your wife. The auntie added another sentence. Yihua almost vomited blood. Which eye of yours saw me hitting my wife? If I were to be vented out by gossips, where would I, the Supreme Overlord, have any face left? Just as Yihua wanted to refute, the auntie did not even give him the chance to do so. You have also been a bachelor for a few years, and it wasn't easy for you to find a good one, so cherish it. Wives are meant to be loved, not used to vent out one's anger. Auntie is someone who has been through it, and was once beautiful too. Someone who has been through it, and was once beautiful too, can the auntie be less narcissistic and more sincere? Also, I, the Supreme Overlord, am still worried about women. With just a wave of my hand, who knows how many women would kneel down and lick my feet? You are saying it as if I, the Supreme Overlord, do not want anyone. Here, all right, your wife counted the money for 2 Chinese crepes this morning, but she only took 1. She must have known that you were coming. The auntie said with a slight smile. Yihua took over the piping hot Chinese crepes and was a bit absent-minded. Qingya really bought it for me? Young man, your wife treats you very well, treat her well. After finished speaking, the auntie began serving other customers. I lost another customer today. If not for you being handsome, I wouldn't have bothered to help you. Holding on to the piping hot Chinese crepes, Yihua returned to his bar and sat foolishly at the bar counter. Am I being too harsh towards Qingya? Forget it, a great person will not remember the wrongs of a small person. I will forgive her after she apologizes to me later. After a while, as expected, familiar footsteps came from behind. Without thinking too much, Yihua knew that Qingya had come down, and Yihua even took a peek at her. Yihua thought to himself, at least you are tactful, knowing that you are here to apologize. I will be merciful and forgive you this once, and let bygones be bygones. Along with the footsteps getting closer and closer, Yihua had already put on an appearance of accepting the apology. A burst of fragrance drifted past, and the corner of Yihua's mouth slightly twitched. This woman actually walked over just like that, and she doesn't even have the thought of apologizing at all. Could it be that you want me, the Supreme Overlord, to apologize to you? Dream on. Yihua picked up the glass cup and accurately smashed it not far away from Qingya. The clear and melodious shattering sound couldn't help but cause one's heart to sink. Qingya stopped her footsteps, didn't scold, didn't shout, didn't do anything at all. This kind of Qingya caused Yihua to be even more unhappy, and he asked gravely, "Where are you going?" Qingya remained silent. "I am asking you a question. Where are you going?" Yihua shouted out. "Why do I need you to care where I am going? Who are you to me?" Qingya asked coldly, her tone didn't have a single bit of fluctuation, as if she was talking to a stranger. This caused Yihua to be angered to the point that his veins were popping out. I can't hit her, and even after I taught her a lesson, she doesn't have any reaction. Come back. Qingya walked forward without any hesitation. This had really angered Yihua. With a wave of his hand, Qingya was unable to move. Being tied up by Yihua using magic, Qingya didn't make a sound, as if she already knew that this would be the end. The two of them wasted time just like this, and after around half an hour, Yihua was the first who couldn't hold it in anymore. Walking in front of Qingya, looking at that stubborn and beautiful face, Yihua asked gravely, "Just what are you trying to do? Do you still care about the thoughts of a tool?" Qingya asked back. In actuality, this situation right now was very easy to solve. As long as Yihua was willing to lower his head and admit his mistake, everything would be fine. Perhaps, their relationship might even warm up a little. However, who was Yihua? He was a supreme overlord. To make a supreme overlord apologize to a human woman, that was something that was basically impossible. Pausing for a moment, Yihua's tone became a lot steadier and said, "That's more or less enough, if not, I will really get angry. If you have the ability, tie me up for an entire lifetime." All right. Yihua went into a daze for a moment, then shouted out heavily. Light blue radiance emitted out from his palm and instantly enveloped the entire leisure bar. Not only did this conflict not resolve, it became even more intense. Yihua loosened the restraint on Qingya, then turned around and walked over. The strength in Qingya's entire body seemed to have been sucked dry as she slowly walked to the entrance of leisure bar. Stretching out her hand and touching the entrance, light blue ripples immediately appeared. Chapter 126. This bastard isn't human. Today, I'll smash you, this broken Qing. Qingya could be seen angrily running into the bar counter, then picking up a wine bottle, she started smashing it. Immediately, crackling sounds rang out within the lounge of the bar, and a dense smell of wine drifted in the air. Upstairs, Qing Yutong was currently applying ointment on her little butt, and when she heard the sounds coming from downstairs, she thought that her brother-in-law and big sister had started fighting, and without caring about her little butt, she tiptoed downstairs. I didn't expect that it was big sister who was smashing the shop. Awesome, big sister, what are you doing? Calm down. Qing Yutong hurriedly went up and dissuaded. From the looks of it, these two people will not be able to reconcile in a short period of time. Qing Yi shook off her little sister's hand and said angrily, "Don't stop me, today I'm going to burn this broken Qing into ashes." Big sister, don't get agitated, you are pregnant right now, you cannot get agitated. Qing Yutong wrinkled her eyebrows and persuaded. Even if you do not care about me, you have to care about the child. Qing Yi once again swung Qing Yutong's buttocks with all her might, and unexpectedly, Qing Yutong's buttocks bumped onto the wine table. Immediately, Qing Yutong's eyes rolled back, that painful feeling, that sour feeling, so painful. The furious Qing Yi did not notice her sister's strange behavior and angrily shouted, "Child! He only treated me as a tool to give birth to a child. Yutong, do you know how painful big sister's heart is?" Qing Yi couldn't hold herself back anymore and threw herself into her little sister's embrace and cried bitterly, seemingly wanting to cry out all of her grievances. Qing Yutong lightly comforted her big sister, feeling that there should be some kind of misunderstanding between the two of them, right? Looking at brother-in-law's expression today, he seemed to be rather hurt as well. The two of them are simply hurting each other, and there is even a need for sister-in-law to mediate between them. "My butt hurts so much, big sister, I won't hide it from you. Just a while ago, I had already taught brother-in-law a lesson, and even made a cut on his neck, and helped you take revenge," Qing Yutong said as if she had won completely, and right now, her little buttocks were all swollen up high. Qing Yi went into a daze for a moment, then said while choking with sobs, "You are too reckless, what if someone dies?" "TSK, TSK, TSK, just a moment ago, didn't you wish for brother-in-law to die? Why did you become worried in the blink of an eye?" Qing Yutong had a face filled with disdain. Qing Yutong is truly a woman who doesn't have firm beliefs. "I am afraid of you," Qing Yi said petulantly as she wiped away the tears at the corner of her eyes. Qing Yutong took out a tissue and passed it to her big sister, then said tenderly, "Under my threat, brother-in-law said some things." "What words?" Qing Yi turned her head around and said coldly. She looked as if she didn't mind, but in actuality, she cared a lot about it in her heart. Does Qing Yutong still not know? The two of them wanted to save face and refused to lower their heads. Brother-in-law said, "Say what?" "Speak, Qing Yutong. Are you going to tell me or not? Don't be anxious. Wait for me to control my emotions and learn from brother-in-law's state." Qing Yutong could be seen imitating Yi Hua, and her face sunk as she said faintly, "The matter that happened last night was my fault, but when I heard her talking about divorce, I became extremely angry. After all, I love her." After finished speaking, Qing Yutong took a glance at Qing Yutong, and discovered that even her big sister was stupefied. "Did he really say that?" Qing Yi asked after a long while. "Isn't that so? Didn't you see brother-in-law's regretful expression? He just didn't want to show it in front of you." "Humph. In any case, I won't be able to forgive him so easily this time." Qing Yi pouted her mouth. It seemed that her anger had already dissipated by more than half. "That's right, we won't be able to forgive brother-in-law so easily this time." Qing Yi silently nodded her head. "Then big sister, you stay here and think about it first, I will be going upstairs." Qing Yutong immediately went upstairs and arrived at Yi Hua's office. Upon arriving, she saw that her brother-in-law was currently smoking a cigarette. "Brother-in-law. Good news." Qing Yutong limped into the office and had a smile on her face. Yi Hua extinguished the cigarette and did not even turn his head back. "I heard the sound from downstairs just now, this woman is simply out of control." "Speak," Yi Hua said coldly. Qing Yutong shook her head helplessly. "I really don't know how the two of us are going to get along with each other. Other people say that ice and fire are incompatible, and the two of us are just like two lumps of ice. Qing Yutong coughed lightly. My big sister told me the truth just now. The corner of Yi Hua's eyebrows slightly raised as he slowly turned around. What? Wait for me to control my emotions. Qing Yutong paused for a moment, then her beautiful eyes immediately turned red. Big droplets of tears flowed down as she pounced into Yi Hua's embrace. Soon after, Qing Yutong cried out loudly, Yutong, do you know how much Big Sister loves your brother-in-law? Big Sister didn't go to work for him and played games with him, but he doesn't like Big Sister at all, and even said that Big Sister is a tool to give birth to children. After Qing Yutong finished speaking, she stopped crying and said with a smile, Big Sister was like that back then. Did she really say that? Yi Hua asked gravely. Isn't that so? Big Sister loves you so much that she almost wanted to commit suicide just now. Luckily, I am here. Qing Yutong patted on her chest, with a look of, I did a meritorious deed, do you want to reward me with something? Yi Hua snorted, and his mood immediately became better. However, he said, at least she has a bit of foresight. That's right, Big Sister must have accumulated a lot of good karma for being able to marry brother-in-law. Qing Yutong said with a smile. A white medicine bottle could be seen appearing in Yi Hua's hand. Apply this medicine on your butt, it will be fine in a while. Thank you brother-in-law. Qing Yutong felt that there was hope. With brother-in-law, this great god, what is the point of needing the system? The system had already fainted from crying in the toilet. Yi Hua paused for a moment, then said faintly, ask your big sister to come up and apologize. Ah! Qing Yutong didn't expect that her brother-in-law would still be like this, and she was instantly stupefied. What are you still standing there for? Qing Yutong's brain was spinning rapidly. If I were to collapse, our relationship would definitely worsen once again. I have to think of a way. Brother-in-law, this move is the worst possible move. Qing Yutong's expression changed and said solemnly. Seeing that his sister-in-law was so serious, Yi Hua couldn't help but become serious as well. Why? Apologizing is just a formality, but this will not be able to change Big Sister's attitude. Continue speaking. Qing Yutong let out a sigh of relief. Brother-in-law is so easy to deceive, he is an honest person. Everyone, quickly come and bully him. My big sister is a woman who would go up the roof and tear down the tiles if she doesn't get a good beating. After hearing that, Yi Hua silently nodded his head. Therefore, brother-in-law, you cannot forgive big sister so quickly, and you also cannot spoil her too much. However, don't fuss about last night's matter anymore. Do you understand what I mean? What you mean is, let me coldly treat your big sister, and grind down her spirit. Yi Hua said gravely. I feel that it is somewhat reasonable. That's more or less what I mean. In any case, you also know how big sister feels about you. You have a point. The corner of Yi Hua's mouth slightly rose. I didn't expect that this woman would actually fall in love with me. At least you are sensible. Qing Yutong blinked her beautiful eyes. My big sister is currently downstairs. Yi Hua tidied up his clothes, adjusted his hairstyle, then opened the door and went downstairs. Seeing that you love me so much, I will not lower myself to your level. Chapter 127. Qing Ye sat on the bench and drank plain water. In actuality, she was thinking about a lot of things. The first time I met Yi Hua, I was also sitting here. However, from that time onwards, the trajectory of my life had changed. Although he was very cold and rarely smiled, but these few days, he treated me very well. What my little sister said isn't without reason. Yi Hua is the kind of person who wants face no matter what, and even more so, he wouldn't lower his head. Perhaps it was because I angered him last night that he became angry. But even if he was angry, he couldn't treat him like that. He didn't even explain himself. Suddenly, the sound of steady footsteps could be heard coming from the staircase. Qing Ye quickly got into a good posture. I can't let Yi Hua look down on me. This time, I definitely won't let him off easily. If not, I will still be bullied in the future. Yi Hua slowly walked over, and when he saw Qing Ye who had a haughty look on her face, he laughed in his heart. You probably don't know this, right? Your little sister has already sold you out, and yet, you are still putting on an act here. It isn't your fault that you fell in love with me. After all, I, the Supreme Overlord, am too outstanding, and there isn't a second person like me in this world. Seeing that Yi Hua was standing there and not speaking, Qing Ye pursed her lips. Let's see how long you can be stubborn for. If you love me, then just say it out, what is there to be embarrassed about? It's no wonder, I have become more beautiful recently. Yi Hua is embarrassed, a man who cares about his face no matter what, let's see who can last longer. Yo, this woman is really enduring. She loves me so much that she is hovering between life and death. Just a moment ago, she even tried to commit suicide. Now that she saw me coming down, I reckon that her heart must be blooming with joy. Let's see how long you can hold it in for. Just like that, the two of them wasted 10 minutes, and finally, Qing Ye was unable to hold back anymore. I'm going to the hospital. A trace of an arc appeared on the corner of Yi Hua's mouth. Aren't you very stubborn? In the end, they still succumbed to my charm. With a light touch of his hand, the light blue barrier disappeared like a bubble. Qing Ye pouted her mouth. Wasn't I very arrogant? If you have the guts, don't leave. Continue to lock yourself up. Why don't you say that you love me? Will it kill you to say that I love you? Picking up her bag, Qing Ye walked out of leisure bar, and Yi Hua followed after her. Before walking out, he even shouted towards the upstairs, Yutong, come down and do some cleaning. Qing Yutong, who was upstairs, almost wanted to cry. Not only do I have to be the peacemaker, I even have to be the waitress. When brother-in-law is in a bad mood, I even have to offer up my butt. It was still the same Audi A8, Qing Ye was the driver, and Yi Hua was the master. After setting the route, Qing Ye started the car and drove towards a people's hospital. In the car, neither of them spoke. In fact, they were waiting for the other to speak first. However, neither of them spoke, and so they just waited. In actuality, Yi Hua didn't expect that Qing Ye would actually love him to the point that she would commit suicide. What a foolish woman, why did she have to pretend to be cold and aloof? Qing Ye also didn't expect that Yi Hua would complain in front of her sister. Aren't you a cold and aloof cultivator? You just like to act cool. Along the way, the two of them arrived at a people's hospital. Qing Ye had already arranged everything, and all that was left was to wait for the examination. Yi Hua was naturally going to accompany this foolish woman. Yi Hua really wanted to tell the others that just now, this fool went to commit suicide because of me, and right now, he still has that cold and arrogant look on his face. This is too amusing. And when Qing Ye saw that the other women were looking at Yi Hua as if they were infatuated, she really wanted to tell them, you all don't need to look at him anymore, this idiot has already fallen in love with me and is unable to extricate himself. Seeing that Qing Ye was going to get a checkup, Yi Hua didn't follow her into the hospital. In actuality, he didn't really like this place, the hospital had an unpleasant smell to it. He walked out of the building and strolled around. He was in a good mood. At the side of the people's hospital, there were a lot of elderly people who had set up stalls, and all of them claimed to be half immortals. This handsome brother, do you want to have your fortune read? Don't go, how about having your fortune read? Your future can also be read too. This little brother, I have top-notch not falling pills here, I guarantee that you will be able to enjoy yourself every night. Boring humans, to use this kind of method to deceive their own kind, they are really hypocritical. Selling medicine. Selling medicine. All of these are miracle pills that have been blessed, 5 RMB for one pill. Eating one pill guarantees to prolong one's life, if it's ineffective, I will refund you, if you buy 2 pills, you will also get a lollipop pill for free. A bald little monk could be seen shouting madly, and the surrounding half-immortals who had set up stalls immediately revealed a gaze of disdain, but the little monk didn't mind in the slightest. Yi Hua felt that the little monk was rather interesting. Those pills that were placed on the cloth were emitting out a faint fragrance, and ordinary people naturally wouldn't be able to sense it. Big sister, quickly come over, there is a cute little monk over there. Little sister, slow down. The two cute little girls ran towards the little monk's stall from behind Yihua, and when the little monk saw the two beauties coming to his stall, his small eyes immediately started shining. Yihua walked over slowly. Of course, he wasn't going to the stall, those pills were not enough to enter his eyes, and he was just passing by. After all, there was only one path. However, the little monk who was currently flirting with the two girls wrinkled his brows, as he felt an evil aura coming towards him. Raising his head, he looked towards Yihua who was walking over. That faint evil aura was emitted out from this man's body. I didn't expect that I would meet a monster right after coming down from the mountain. My luck is not just ordinary. Slaying monsters is my master's aim, and of course, it is also my aim as well. Let me use my fiery golden eyes to see just what kind of monster you are. The little monk's eyeballs immediately turned golden, and ordinary people naturally wouldn't be able to sense it. F***ck, it is actually a skeleton monster. Good fellow, I just happened to let the lollipop see some blood. Skeletons don't seem to have blood, I wonder if they have bone marrow or not. Yihua felt the little monk's unusual movement, and he became very curious. This little monk actually possesses such a profound technique, how did he obtain it? Let's go back. A familiar voice came from behind, and Yihua turned his head around to take a look. So it turns out that Qingye came over to look for me, and this silly woman still said that she doesn't care. However, right at this moment, the little monk cried out in fear. He didn't even want the medicinal pellets that were on the stall and immediately ran away, as if he had seen a ghost. Yihua originally wanted to ask about the origin of that technique, but since the other person had already run away, he couldn't be bothered to chase after him. Big sister, that little monk is so cute, why did he run away? Who knows, maybe his scam was exposed by us, and he felt embarrassed to continue staying here. Sigh, big sister, let's go. The little monk who was running away even had the heart to cry. The bottom of the mountain is too scary, the top of the mountain is still the safest. Master, when are you coming back? Your disciple has seen a big secret. At the start, the little monk's fiery golden eyes were indeed looking at Yihua, but following Qingye's shout, the little monk's gaze shifted over, and immediately, he was scared witless and immediately ran away. As for what he saw, only the little monk himself knew. Qingye's expression was ice cold. I just finished checking, and this fellow actually disappeared. He kept saying that children are important, but in the end, I don't even know where he went. However, not knowing why, Qingye just felt that Yihua was strolling at the side door. When she went out to take a look, it was indeed as she had expected. We are both cultivators, yet he still came here to have his fortune read so childishly. How was the result? Yihua asked faintly. Normal. Qingye replied faintly. Those who didn't know might even think that the two of them had a grudge against each other. I already said it yesterday night. Qingye didn't say anything, and the two of them returned back to the residence. Chapter 128. After the two returned to Leisure Bar, they still did not speak a single word. Yihua took out his phone and ordered a crayfish. If you have the ability, don't peel it. Qing Yutong could be said to be extremely unlucky today, she had just cleaned up the Leisure Bar, and her waist and back were aching. Brother-in-law, what are we eating for lunch? Seeing her brother-in-law and big sister had returned, Qing Yutong hurriedly asked, and the meaning behind her words was very clear. Brother-in-law, I want to eat meat, crayfish. Qing Yutong's face was filled with disappointment, she missed the feeling of eating meat. When the meat was placed in her mouth, it would leave a fragrant taste in her mouth, and when she lightly sucked on it, the juices would even flow out, immediately making her feel relaxed and happy. He had never eaten such delicious meat before, and his skin felt great after eating it. It was much more delicious than the crayfish. Being unlucky was nothing. What was even more despairing was yet to come. The three of them sat at the dining table. Yihua and Qingye did not even move their chopsticks, and Qing Yutong was just blankly looking at them. Are they still not reconciled yet? If you all are not going to eat, I will eat first. After finished speaking, Qing Yutong wore the gloves. But as he ate, he felt that the atmosphere was not right. Could it be that they were going to quarrel again? Brother-in-law, please have some shrimp. Sister, please have some shrimp. Grandmasters, please have some shrimp. Qing Yutong vowed, next time, I will not be the peacemaker anymore, the one who will be tired will be me. Yihua snorted coldly. Right now, you don't even want to peel the prawns anymore, seems like you are quite stubborn. I will deal with you at night. At the same time, Qingye snorted coldly. You want me to peel the prawns for you? Saying, wife, I was wrong, is more like it. A few caddies of crayfish were peeled off by Qing Yutong by herself, and Qing Yutong felt that her fingers were stinging. Don't call me for dinner, I will settle it myself. After leaving behind this sentence, Qing Yutong returned back to her bedroom, and didn't eat with them anymore. Yihua wiped his mouth and walked towards the office, while Qingye walked towards the bedroom. I, the Supreme Overlord, am going to sleep in the office today. Without my chest, I want to see how you are going to sleep. When the time comes, aren't you still begging me to get on your bed? GGG. Looking at Yihua walking towards the office, Qingye wrinkled her brows. At worst, I will just go and buy a doll. Do you really think that I won't be able to sleep without you? When night fell, Qing Yutong planned to use instant noodles to solve the problem. In any case, she wasn't going to be their servant anymore. Yihua was waiting for Qingye to shout at him, and Qingye was waiting for Yihua to shout at her. In the end, the two of them couldn't hold it in any longer and secretly used instant noodles to fill their stomachs. Fighting was fighting, but they didn't want to starve themselves. In the past, Yihua often ate instant noodles, thus he had quite an understanding towards instant noodles. The first thing to do was to tear open the thin packaging on the outside, open the top layer of packaging, take out all the seasonings, tear open the packaging and add them into the box. Then, he used the best ham sausage to bite into slices and poured boiling water into it. After the longest 3 minutes of his life, a bowl of Ye's instant noodles was done. A few slender noodles tugged at the heartstrings of thousands of people. Ye's instant noodles, do you want to know about it? Dong dong dong. Yihua, who was currently talking about the instant noodles, paused for a moment, then instantly hid the instant noodles and used his fastest speed to adjust his state of mind. You're finally here, aren't you? Can't hold it in any longer. Say something nice to me, and I'll be merciful enough to lend you my chest for you to lie down on. Come in. Yihua shouted gravely. When he saw that the one who entered was Wei Chang, his expression changed. Scram. Just when Wei Chang wanted to speak, he didn't expect his honor to directly shout at him to scram. This scared me to death. However, why is there a smell of instant noodles in this office? His honor is already a person who has a wife. Could it be that he still wants to eat instant noodles? Even I don't eat instant noodles anymore, and Xiao Tang is still cooking for me. Lai Gu expressed that he was lying down and being fed by a woman. Yihua expressed that why you guys are so outstanding, do you believe that I won't change you guys back to how you were originally? Wei Chang, who was outside, let out a sigh of relief, then said to Jiu Yi, who was behind him, the boss is feeling annoyed right now, do not disturb him. The reason why Jiu Yi came over today was to invite Yihua over to discuss about the South's important matters. The people who came over were all big shots from various places, and all of them were here for the sake of the ancient godly item. They were discussing about how to strengthen the security and prevent the northerners from coming over to snatch it. That. Mr. Wei, the boss is not going, can you? Jiu Yi smiled apologetically. Not free, I have an appointment tonight. Wei Chang said faintly. Tonight, I am going to watch a midnight movie with Xiao Tang, this is the important matter. Jiu Yi was very annoyed. I am unable to invite the boss, even the boss's subordinates are unable to invite the boss. Right now, the ancient godly item is getting restless, and the northerners have already infiltrated into the south, preparing to snatch it. If the ancient godly item were to be snatched away, the entire south's face would be completely thrown away. Mr. Wei, this matter concerns the entire south. How about you send a representative over to take a look? Jiu Yi could be said to be painstakingly trying to pull Yihua closer. In actuality, Yihua's attitude was indifferent. If I didn't get into a deadlock with Qingya, I could bring Qingya over to broaden her horizons. Unfortunately, right now, Yihua was currently fighting with Qingya, expressing that he was not in the mood to do so. You go wait outside, I will call someone over. That's great, thank you, Mr. Wei. Jiu Yi was relieved. As long as the boss sends someone over, it will be fine. Jiu Yi walked out of leisure bar and sat in the luxury car that was waiting outside. While waiting for Wei Chang to call someone over, Wei Chang came to leisure bar's toilet. Wei Chang called out lightly, "Death Mage." Under Long and City's South Lake Bridge, this was the place where the vagrants stayed. Among the vagrants, there was a man who wore a black robe. Right now, he was sitting on a long sickle, his left hand was holding onto a phone, and the bone finger of his right hand was fiercely tapping on the screen. From time to time, the sound of gold coins clattering could be heard, but not long later, the screen would be displayed. Insufficient balance, please top up. Insufficient balance on the card. That's right. This person was Death Mage who gambled badly. A few days ago, he was still living in a luxurious house and drinking beer, but in the end, he really gambled and lost all of his family's fortune without cheating. In this kind of situation, he definitely had to look for the banker, but in the end, the banker had actually already jumped down from the rooftop. Death Mage was angered to the point that he almost went berserk. Death Mage swore that he would never touch a ball again in his entire life, and even more so, he would never gamble. Unexpectedly, one of the football fans sent out a small program, and Death Mage curiously clicked on it. I feel that this game of fishing is very interesting. In an afternoon's time, I contributed all of my remaining money to this great little program. Holding on to the remaining money in his hands, Death Mage felt a deep pain in his heart. Damned humans, why did they have to invent gambling? Suddenly receiving the summons from his master, a red light flashed past Death Mage's eyes. With work to do, it means that I have income, and I can still continue playing. Wasn't there a person here just now? Where did he go? Who knows, he sat there and played fishing for the entire afternoon, and he even took my power bank to charge. Power bank? Fuck, where did my power bank go? This damned bastard even stole my power bank, shameless. In leisure bar's toilet. Don't lie down, the floor is dirty. Seeing that Death Mage was going to kneel down, Wei Chang immediately stopped him. Death Mage said respectfully, "Thank you, master." Chapter 129. Master, are we going to trample on debts? Death Mage expressed that trampling on debts would have a very bright future, and the profits would be very high. No, you can go and take a seat. Master, don't we have to kill people? Death Mage was very disappointed. Recently, I haven't been able to receive any missions to kill people. Do as you see fit. The car is waiting outside. Buy a mask and wear it. Don't scare people. Wei Chang said. Death Mage seemed to be a bit embarrassed. Master, subordinate doesn't have any more money. Wei Chang let out a heavy sigh and took out his wallet. Death Mage's eyes were flickering with a red light. My master is definitely very rich, but to say that I don't have any money, I feel so embarrassed. Looking at the money in the wallet, Wei Chang couldn't help but wrinkle his brows. There are two 1 RMB coins, one is 50 RMB, and the other is 10 RMB, there is only a total of 62 RMB. After getting a girlfriend, my expenses sure are high. But I feel embarrassed to ask his honor for money. I should look for Lai Gu to borrow some money some other day. All of Lai Gu's women are celebrities, I reckon that he doesn't lack money. Wei Chang reluctantly took out a 10 yuan note. After watching the movie tonight, he would still need supper. 52 yuan should be enough. Looking at his master taking out a soft 10 RMB note, Death Mage suddenly had a strange feeling. Master is really living a miserable life. I really can't bear to take this 10 RMB note. What are you waiting for? Get to work. Wei Chang urged. He quietly put away the 10 yuan, forgetting that he still had to take a taxi to send Tang Bingyao back. Just a moment ago, Death Mage was just about to stretch out his hand to take it, but he didn't expect that his master would put it away again. I feel so awkward, so the master was so stingy. Walking out of the toilet, Death Mage walked through the leisure bar with his head lowered. At the same time, he took a clown mask from the table. From other people's perspective, they might even think that he was role-playing, as that sickle looked so realistic. Jiu Yi was very curious about who Wei Chang would call over. He was truly too fucking curious. This leisure bar had this kind of magical power. Those who didn't understand would think that it was a tiger's den, but those who understood a little would be filled with boundless curiosity. Thoroughly understood. They're all weirdos. He took out a Cuban cigar, put it under his nose, sniffed it, and cut off one end. The lackey in front of him was instantly enraged. This young man had a bright future. Just when Lord Jiu was smoking, a human figure walked out from the leisure bar. He was wrapped in a black gown and wore a clown mask on his face. Looking at his attire, Lord Jiu foolishly held the cigar in his mouth and even forgot to open the car door. This was probably the black robe that fought Xiao Yi. That Wei Chang actually called over such a ferocious person. How did he do it? This is too fucking scary, isn't it? Please don't sit beside me, don't. Death Mage opened the car door by himself, and with a stab of the sickle in his hand, a hole was cut open on the roof of the car, and the sickle that was emitting a cold glint just happened to stab onto Jiu Ye's cigar, cutting it into two. A Rolls-Royce Phantom was sliced in half just like that. Death Mage retreated once again, and an ear-piercing sound suddenly rang out beside Jiu Ye's ears. When Jiu Yi raised his head to take a look, he saw the panoramic sunroof at the back row. He turned the scythe of death into a walking stick before sitting down steadily. Lord Jiu reflexively moved to the other side and sat down. What should he say now? That person is someone who fought against Xiao Yi. What should I do? I'm waiting for you online. I'm urgently looking for you. After sitting in the car, Death Mage was thinking about another matter. Wasn't my subordinate, Death Assassin, on a business trip? That Long Out Yen must be a rich man. After he finished his business tonight, he would go and knock some lollipops. Long Out Yen, who was currently training hard, felt a gust of cold wind and couldn't help but tremble. Jiu Yi, are we going? The driver in the front asked while trembling with fear. Go. While being blown by the natural wind, Jiu Yi felt very melancholic. Ever since I met the boss, I feel that I am not like myself anymore. Your Excellency, how should I address you? GGG, Imperial Translation, idiot. Hearing the strange sound that the black robe made, Jiu Ye's back felt a chill. A top-notch Cuban cigar, do you want one? Jiu Yi asked nervously, and his hands were trembling. Death Mage took a look at the cigar and nodded his head. Jiu Yi let out a sigh of relief. As long as the other party is willing to accept the cigar, I will be able to be more at ease. He personally cut the cigar and passed it to the black robe. Wait a minute. That hand. Why is it white? When he saw the black robe taking off his mask, Jiu Ye's eyeballs almost popped out. This isn't a fucking human. It's actually a skeleton. There is a fucking skeleton sitting beside me. What should I do? I'm waiting online. Jiu Yi took out a golden bright lighter and lit it up with both of his hands. However, his hands were trembling very intensely. Death Mage took a deep breath. I feel that it's not bad, it's quite flavorful. However, Jiu Yi wasn't calm anymore. This black robe's entire body was emitting smoke, and those who didn't know would think that the car was on fire. How can it not emit smoke? After taking a deep breath, the inside of the black robe is filled with bones, even beer would leak out. GGG, Imperial Translation, I want all of those. Although Jiu Yi didn't understand what the black robe was saying, his finger was pointing at the cigar box. If Jiu Yi didn't even understand what the black robe was saying, then he would have wasted his time here. If your distinguished self likes them, I still have a lot of them here. Jiu Yi decided to hug onto the black robe's thigh. That boss is too cold, and I feel that he isn't someone who is easy to talk to. That Wei Chang is the same as well. This black robe is different, because he has needs. Death Mage stretched out his hand and patted onto Jiu Ye's shoulder. GGG. Imperial Translation, not bad, young fellow. Jiu Ye's smile was very forced. Looking at the skeleton hand on his shoulder, his entire body felt bad, as if his body was hollowed out. Death Mage could be seen taking out an Apple X and a power bank. Opening the game interface, Death Mage tapped on the button to top up, then placed it in front of Jiu Yi. Jiu Yi was very nervous and asked, "Your distinguished self, do you need to top up?" GGG. Imperial Translation, foolish human, aren't you talking nonsense? Is 100 enough? I met another miser. Death Mage tapped on 648. Jiu Yi immediately understood, your distinguished self, let's add each other on WeChat, I will immediately transfer the money to you. Looking at the black robe's WeChat profile picture, Jiu Yi was speechless. What a cute cartoon version of a skull, it is completely different from the one on your face. Seeing that the other party transferred 1,000 yuan to him, Death Mage expressed his gratification. This human has a bit of good eyesight. Bye. Jiu Yi had never seen a person who could fish so seriously before. No, a skeleton. Especially this kind of expert, to actually go and play such a childish game. This is simply ruining one's worldview. The Rolls-Royce Phantom, whose roof was opened, drove out of the city. Along the way, there was still smoke, and the scene was a bit strange. There was a red wine winery in the western outskirts of Long-an City, and the boss of the winery was naturally Jiu Yi. Jiu Yi was more or less the host, and he had to do his part as a host. He had to properly make arrangements for the arrival of the various powers. Chapter 130. This winery was the product of Lord Jiu's meticulous care. Lord Jiu even lived here, which showed how much he valued this place. After all, the location of this winery was very good. It was far away from the hustle and bustle of the city. Everywhere was filled with a peaceful atmosphere, as if it was situated on a green prairie. Sir, we have arrived. Lord Jiu smiled modestly. Bye. Death Mage held onto his phone with a cigar in his mouth and a cane in his armpit. A mask? I forgot, sir, wait for me. Without waiting for his underling to open the door, Jiu Yi immediately ran over and asked about Death Mage's well-being. However, Death Mage's gaze was only focused on his phone. Hua. Hearing the sound of gold coins, Death Mage fiercely took a puff of his cigar, and soon after, his entire body started emitting smoke. GGG, Imperial Translation, awesome. Originally, Jiu Yi had thought that Death Mage was just playing around in the car. However, he didn't expect that Death Mage was actually holding onto his phone all the time. Death Mage didn't even have the intention to put his phone down. There are a few big shots sitting inside the car, it doesn't seem too good for you to just hold onto your phone and enter the car. Especially that "bu" sound, how can the sound of this Apple X be so loud? My 8848 is still the best. Sir, can you stop for a moment? GGG, Royal Translation, can you afford to pay for so many fish? Jiu Yi was still an experienced person, and he was able to discern Death Mage's emotions from his tone of voice. The two of them walked into the interior of the winery. At this moment, there was a large round table in the winery's conference room. There were 8 men and 1 woman sitting around it. Some were dressed in suits, while others were dressed in magic robes. The only female member was gorgeous. She wore a floral jade-colored robe and had a floral veil draped over her shoulders. Her soft black hair was pinned with a flying fairy hairpin. She looked like a fairy. This person was the sect master of Cloud's sect, Sun Fang. "What the hell are we doing here?" one of the middle-aged men shouted in a deep voice. This person was the alliance leader of the Southern Alliance, Hai Daisi. Because he was bald, he looked quite fierce. Traceless Pavilion's pavilion master was dressed a little weirdly. He was wearing a loose t-shirt, loose pants, a gold chain around his neck, a hat, sunglasses, and other accessories. He was dressed in a hip-hop style. Recently, he had indeed become infatuated with hip-hop. Guzhen clapped his hands and actually started rapping, "Hi Daisy, why are you so anxious? Hi Daisy, hi Daisy, hi go and take revenge, hi Daisy your ass." Hi Daisy jumped. "Alliance Chief Hai, don't panic." The one who spoke was the sect master of the Loud Thunder sect, Yang Yi. Wang Debao, who was cutting his fingernails, smiled and said, "That's right. Why are you panicking? Didn't the Dry Zen sect also lose an elder? How does it feel to have someone to accompany you?" Dry Zen sect master Che Zhishuan's expression turned cold. Wang Debao. Dry Chan Yi, sect Hai, said, "Lord Hai, Che." "Hai of, I said, I. Lord, I, Lord, I. Yang as, I as. Hai. Yang. Lord. Li Ji Tian Hai. Ji Lord. Hai said. As. Ji, alright, everyone, stop talking. The one who spoke was called Ji Anyan. He wore a pair of ordinary glasses, and his looks were average. However, he seemed to be very intelligent. In fact, none of them dared to act rashly, because everyone's strength was about the same. Unless they outnumbered each other, it would be meaningless. After all, if fighting wasn't to win, then what was the point of fighting? Hai Daisy angrily said, "If it were up to me, we should join forces to denounce them." Yo, Chek Ku is making a fuss. It's not like my elder died. The pavilion master of Traceless Pavilion, Gai Zheng, crossed his arms and made a 666 gesture. Hai Daisy was so angry that he almost vomited blood. "I'm going to King kill you today. Also, come, yo, come over here." Yang Yi, the sect master of the Mighty Thunder sect, grabbed hold of Hai Daisy, who was about to go berserk. "Alliance Master Hai, don't be agitated. This sect leader is also very sad that something like this happened. You have to get used to it in the future." Hai Daisy's face stiffened. Yang Yi took out a hat from nowhere and put on a pair of sunglasses. "Yo, check it out." Gai Zheng immediately replied, Yo, brother is so awesome. Yo, this is a good stab. I'm going to King kill these two bastards today." A strong energy burst out from Hai Daisy's body. How could Gai Zheng and Yang Yi not be arrogant? Two of the elders that went out died and one of them was injured. Look at us, we came out without a single injury. That's why, even if the younger brother is brainless, the older brother definitely isn't any better. Dry Zen sect leader Che Zhishuan said coldly, "Count me in." Wang Debao, Zhou Xinran, Ji Anyan, and Guang Tianlu, who hadn't made a sound all this while, the four of them just watched and didn't have any plans to make a move. To them, all of these people could be counted as cultivators, and this kind of relationship had to be divided properly. Enough. Cloud sect leader Sun Fang shouted out coldly. "She is a beauty, so I have to give her some face." Che Zhishuan snorted and gradually retracted his killing intent. "If it wasn't for sect leader Sun pleading for you all, I would have turned you all into thick water today." "That's right. Since sect leader Sun has spoken, I won't make things difficult for you two immature children." Hai Daisy's expression changed. If he was an angry man just now, then he was a warm young man now. The beauty of the north was Bai Xian, and the pride of the south was Sun Fang. The beauty of these two beauties wasn't just for show. Hai Daixi and Che Zhishuan just felt that they had lost face. Gai Zheng and Yang Yi, on the other hand, were just teasing the beauties and using this kind of method to attract the other party. Or maybe they had gotten some news and found out that sect leader Sun was listening to hip-hop music recently, so they purposely did this. Today's discussion is about how to protect the ancient godly equipment and the ownership of the ancient godly equipment. Sun Fang's tone was gentle and comfortable. Zhuo Xinran touched his hair. Sect leader Sun, how is your sect's elder Xing? Family leaders really cares about our sect's matters. Sun Fang's tone was slightly angry. Ji Anyun rubbed his eyes. I heard that Elder Xing died on the way back yesterday, is that true? Elder Xing sacrificed himself for the greater good, but I will naturally take revenge for this. Well said. Revenge. Hai Daixi and Che Zhishuan immediately agreed. Zhuo Xinran chuckled, Lord Jiu will bring people over later, I'm really looking forward to your revenge. Wang Dabao took off his shoes, then took off his socks, and actually started to cut his toenails. This action made people's hair stand on end. Sect leader Sun, I feel that we should think more about the matter of revenge. Gai Zheng felt that it was better not to take revenge. Yesterday, when the elder came back and reported the situation, although he wasn't there, his heart still felt cold when he heard it. Just as Sun Fang opened her mouth to speak, a soft sound entered everyone's ears. Bayu bayu bayu. Chapter 131. Bang! The two doors were kicked open by Death Mage, and Jiu Yi who was at the side froze in the middle of persuading Death Mage. The atmosphere immediately froze. Perhaps it was because the two wooden doors were quickly opened, the sealed conference room produced a wind that blew Death Mage's black robe up. If Death Mage was to wear a wig, his posture would be comparable to the god of gamblers. Especially the cigar that Death Mage was holding in his mouth, when he took a puff, his entire body would emit smoke, making him look very stylish. The iPhone 10 that he was holding in his hand was ringing with a beautiful and joyous melody, and at the bottom of the phone was a white cable that extended into the black robe, presumably, it was plugged into a power bank. Death Mage swept his gaze across everyone. Their strength is not bad, but compared to Xiao Yi, they are still a bit weaker. But even if that is the case, fishing is still more important. I will be able to gather 7 Dragon Balls soon and exchange them for 10 RMB worth of expenses. I am finally going to win money. The 9 people present just watched as Death Mage walked in, sat down, and then, Bayubiubiu, as the leader of a sect or family. Of course they knew about the incomparable battle that happened that night. Xiao Yi fought against the Black Robe, and in the end, he even used an ancient godly item to win against the Black Robe. In actuality, Xiao Yi was still wearing a super strong defensive armor. Everyone was guessing who exactly this person was and what relationship he had with the bar owner. Now that he appeared here, there was no need to say much. This person's identity belongs to the top of the bar, that means that the 2 people from yesterday should be his underlings. This bar is truly a place with crouching tigers and hidden dragons. If Death Mage knew what these people were thinking, he would definitely say it. Imperial translation, Master is busy with a date, and his honor is currently dealing with family matters, so I had no choice but to come by myself. Do you all think that I wanted to come? Isn't this the same as losing money? I came out to fish for some money. What everyone was shocked about was not only the identity of the Black Robe, but also the appearance of the Black Robe. It is actually an evil spirit. When did such a powerful evil spirit appear? As powerful bosses, they were all stupefied. After all, they are all people who subdue demons, and the skeleton in front of them actually grew up right under their eyes. This is unbelievable. Everyone didn't know what to do. About that, let me introduce everyone. This is the famous Black Robe. Jiu Yi squeezed out a smile and introduced the Black Robe to everyone present. Death Mage fiercely took a puff of his cigar, and in an instant, the smoke lingered around the room. Death Mage's bony fingers continued to tap on the screen of his phone, and the sound of gold coins clattering could be heard coming out from the phone's speaker. Wang Debao revealed a puzzled expression. What was the relationship between it and the man that day? Employment relationship? Or a superior and subordinate relationship? Such powerful skeletons shouldn't have a superior and subordinate relationship. The employment relationship was more normal. Suddenly, Wang Debao felt that there was a possibility. That man was also Black Robe's underling. As the boss, it was only natural for him to step in. If that's the case, everything will make sense. I wonder if my wife will praise me after hearing my deduction or not. Just thinking about it makes me so excited. Popping candy with iced water, it feels so good. Everyone, why don't we begin? Lord Jiu laughed dryly. Black Robe couldn't control him. He was a great god. Ji Anyan adjusted his spectacles and looked towards Death Mage, and a row of information immediately appeared on his spectacles. Race, undead life. IQ. Realm. Interests. Marriage. Ji Anyan's brows were tightly knitted together. Could it be that this spectacles crashed? It's actually filled with question marks. Hai Dicey could be seen taking the lead and saying, before we start the meeting, Wang Debao, please leave. Wang Debao wore his shoes and sniffed his hands. Why? A man who married into by family, what right does he have to sit together with us? Che Zhishuan shouted out. Don't look at how Wang Debao married by Cixin. Everyone in the circle knew that Wang Debao was afraid of his wife, and he was even more afraid of by family. However, Wang Debao just had to set his headquarters at Gaohai City in the south. Everyone knew that Wang Debao was afraid of his wife. Furthermore, by family was the leader of the family. The wife controls the north, the husband controls the south, and then the two swords would work together. Zhou Xinran said faintly, CEO Wang's hometown is in Gaohai City, how can you say that he is a northerner? Bayubiubiu, but he has a northerner wife. Gu Zheng changed his hip-hop style and slammed onto the table as he shouted. Bayubiubiu, Wang Debao scratched his head, my wife only went back to her parents' house to stay for a few months, look at you all. Bayubiubiu, everyone's brows wrinkled. Death Mage held onto his chin with his left hand, and his empty eye sockets flickered with red light. Warning! Warning! The boss is attacking. Death Mage could be seen holding onto his phone. Bang, 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 bang. The entire conference room was filled with the sound of bone fingers tapping onto the screen. Jiu Yi had the intention to persuade Death Mage, but when he saw how excited Death Mage was, he decided to forget about it. Gradually, Death Mage put down his phone, and a black fog emitted out from his body, scaring everyone into activating their defense. Death Mage looked at the gold coins that had already been cleared, and he really wanted to kill someone. I just spent over 1 million gold coins in one go, and in the end, a human entered the room, clicked on the screen, and killed the boss. How can I not be angry? All cunning humans deserve to die. The black fog on Death Mage's body actually left his body and floated above his head like a black cloud. In an instant, the black cloud rapidly flew towards a corner of the conference room. Everyone turned pale with fright, not knowing what the Black Robe was doing. Meanwhile, Death Mage quickly picked up the cane that was placed beside him and fiercely threw it forward. Dong! The cane was forcefully stabbed into the wall, and its original appearance was gradually revealed. Everyone took in a breath of cold air once again, but what was even more shocking was yet to come. The wall was actually bleeding. Gradually, a person who was wearing a black robe was revealed, and there was a big hole in his chest. Profound hidden sect. Everyone cried out in shock. A horrified scream rang out from within the black cloud, and the black cloud seemed to be wrapped around something that was floating in the sky. Everyone didn't need to think too much to know who it was. Originally, Death Mage didn't want to care about it, but who knew that the boss that he had painstakingly killed would be snatched away by someone else? Wasn't it just nice that there were two muzzles? The expressions of the big shots in the conference room didn't look good. The people from Profound Hidden Sect had infiltrated into the conference room, and not a single one of them noticed it. These two people were definitely the trump cards of Profound Hidden Sect. If it wasn't for this black robe, the contents of today's conference would have been leaked out, and the consequences would be unimaginable. Sun Fang glared at the man within the black cloud and shouted out, "Speak. What do you all know?" The man who was wrapped within the black cloud let out a miserable howl. It wasn't that he didn't want to speak, but rather, he couldn't. Death Mage's finger moved slightly, as if he was torturing the man above him. "Your Excellency, can you let him go? I want to ask," Sun Fang said to Death Mage. Her tone was very courteous, but in her heart, she was very angry. "This fellow's subordinate killed my elder." GGG, Imperial Translation, I don't want to. Following that, Death Mage clenched his finger. The black cloud instantly corroded the man, and soon after, the man dissipated. Not even a piece of him was left behind. Chapter 132. The entire meeting room turned silent in an instant as everyone stared at Sun Fang in disbelief. Everyone estimated that with Sun Fang's strength, she had a 4% chance of winning against Xiao Yi. But against the fully armed Xiao Yi, her chances of winning were 0. As for this black-robed man, he had beaten the fully armed Xiao Yi like a dog. Although Xiao Yi had won, it had been a tragic sight. In actuality, everyone had overlooked one point. Death Mage was ordered to not kill Xiao Yi, and yet, Death Mage acted recklessly, and in the end, he was killed by someone. Everyone really couldn't understand why Sun Fang wanted to challenge this black robe. The gains didn't make up for the losses. If something bad happened, she would die. Sun Fang's beautiful eyes were ice cold. Her own elder had died miserably at the hands of your little brother yesterday. Of course, this vengeance should be avenged by this sect leader. If I let this enemy go, how would I explain it to the disciples of the sect? It would make the hearts of the sect disciples even more bitterly disappointed. No matter what the hell that Purity Bar was up to, he had to take revenge for Elder Xing today. Thinking of this, Sun Fang couldn't help but recall the way Elder Xing was carried back. All of the meridians in his body had been severed, and his internal organs felt as though they had been tossed into a blender. After asking a disciple, she found out that this was caused by Elder Xing's duel with a middle school student. At that time, there didn't seem to be anything out of the ordinary. He must have fallen into some sort of secret passage. What a joke! How could an ordinary person withstand a casual slash from Lai Gu, even if it was a slash from his hand? All the big shots in the cultivation world were very worried, but the family heads on Wang Debao's side didn't care and just treated it as a show. Death Mage stared at Sun Fang with his empty eye sockets. The latter did not seem to be afraid in the slightest. However, to Death Mages, they were already used to this kind of gaze, because they did not know their own strength at all. A mere human woman dares to challenge me? Death Mage was currently considering whether to kill her, or, I heard that his honor has been cultivating his humanity recently, and even Master is cultivating his humanity as well. From this, it could be seen how important humanity is. Thinking about it, I am also cultivating my humanity. At the very least, I can be considered to be keeping up with his honor and Master's footsteps. Thinking about gambling, Death Mage decided that he had to win this time. He picked up his phone and started typing. Colorful words scrolled across the screen. "I'll bet on 1. Sun Fang shouted in a tender voice, "I'll accompany you to the end." Death Mage typed again. "If you lose, you'll become my slave." Everyone cursed him for being shameless in their hearts. It was obvious that he was going to win, yet he still wanted to take in a proud southern girl as a slave. He was simply inhuman. So what if you accept it? Do you even have a weapon? Sun Fang was angered to the point her face flushed red. As the sect master of the Cloud sect, when had she ever been humiliated like this? If she didn't wash away the humiliation she suffered today, how would she be able to raise her head in the cultivation world? All right. If you lose, I'll hack you to pieces. Death Mage nodded his head. If I am still unable to win this bet, I will stop gambling from now on. Lord Jiu facepalmed. The meeting hadn't even started and they were about to start fighting. What a headache. Death Mage stretched out his skeletal hand, and the death scythe that was nailed onto the wall flew back into his hand. Sun Fang then casually grabbed onto something, and a purple sword appeared in her hand. The group arrived at the large garden behind the winery. It had to be said that the air in the suburbs was really fresh. In addition, there were many flowers and plants planted around, and they could smell the fragrance of the flowers when the breeze blew. This kind of scene was a good time for a date. Sitting on the grass, hugging a big sister, and looking at the stars. Borrowing the darkness, they could even get intimate with each other. Seems like Lord Jiu had his own plans for staying here. Everyone, do you want to change to another place to fight? Lord Jiu said weakly. This garden was something that I meticulously made. However, not a single person replied to Lord Jiu's question. Death Mage and Sun Fang stood at the center, and the battle was about to start at any moment. The other 4 big shots of the cultivation world were prepared to save Sun Fang at any moment. Death Mage stabbed the death scythe in his hand onto the ground, then spread out his hands and said, "GGG, Imperial translation, woman, tremble in front of me." Although Sun Fang didn't know what the black-robed man in front of her was doing, she knew that he definitely didn't have any good intentions. Immediately, Sun Fang pulled out her sword. A series of sword cries immediately rang out, and everyone couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. Sect Master Sun's strength doesn't seem to be as what the rumors say. Isn't this nonsense? Who doesn't have a few trump cards up their sleeves? It's just that they didn't use them yet. Death Mage stretched out his index and middle fingers, and everyone didn't understand what he meant. However, when they saw Death Mage slightly hooking up his index and middle fingers and shaking them at an extremely high frequency, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. That was because everyone had forgotten an important point. Although Death Mage didn't have any weapons, he still had his fingers. As expected of a talent. Sun Fang's face flushed red, and the spiritual energy on her body suddenly exploded out. The flowers and grasses in the surroundings immediately flew into the sky, and the scene was instantly beautiful. A silver light flashed, and Sun Fang's entire body turned into an afterimage. Everyone who was watching the battle had grim expressions on their faces. Sun Fang's strength is truly very strong. Sun Fang looked at the dazed black robe and sneered in her heart. Do you really think that I, the sect master, am easy to bully? And to still want to be your female slave, you are truly delusional. Death Mage didn't use any weapons, that was because he had other intentions. Death Mage stretched out his spotlessly white and long-boned finger and grabbed out. He firmly grabbed onto Sun Fang's right wrist that was holding onto the sword, then grabbed onto Sun Fang's alluring waist with his right hand. Hai Dicey was dumbstruck. How is this even a battle? This is clearly a display of affection. Che Zhishuan clenched his fists tightly. The goddess in his heart is actually being hugged by a skeleton, damn it. Gu Zheng and Yang Yi were about to go berserk. Their goddess was being defiled by a skeleton. Wang Debao was also very stupefied. I didn't expect that this skeleton would actually be so good at flirting with girls. The two of them looked like they were doing a ballroom dance, and it was hard for people to not think too much. Sun Fang was even more miserable. The skeletal hand on her wrist was like an iron pincer, and the hand around her waist was the same, making her unable to move at all. Looking at the skull that was so close to her and the red glow in its eye sockets, Sun Fang didn't show any signs of weakness. The spiritual energy in her body erupted once again. Even if she had to risk getting injured, she wouldn't let this skeleton take advantage of her. Boom! A shockwave spread out with the two of them as the center, and the entire sky was filled with all sorts of flowers. Death Mage casually grabbed onto one of the roses, then revealed his spotlessly white teeth and bit onto it. F***ck me. Everyone felt as if their worldview had been completely destroyed. Don't pull me, I want to kill this skeleton, I don't even dare to tease the goddess like this. Hai Daisy couldn't take it anymore, but no one stopped him. Blood seeped out from the corner of Sun Fang's mouth. Her forceful struggle just now had caused her internal energy to become chaotic. This black robe was truly terrifying. This was only the first exchange of blows, and he was already injured. If this continued, he would definitely lose. If it really comes to that, even if I die, I won't let a skeleton humiliate me. Suddenly, Sun Fang felt a chill coming from her back, and the sword in her hand immediately flew towards Death Mage. Chapter 133. Let go of my goddess. Che Zhishuan angrily attacked, and a powerful spiritual energy struck towards Death Mage. A black fog shot out from Death Mage's bone finger and instantly dispersed the spiritual energy that was rushing towards Che Zhishuan. Dry Zen sect was an alchemy sect, and their overall strength was not very high. However, Che Zhishuan, who was the sect master, was naturally considered to be rather powerful. But in this group of people, he was at the bottom. Che Zhishuan could do nothing about the black fog's attack. He flew backward and crashed into a building like a cannonball. Lord Zhou's heart ached when he saw this. Everyone was speechless. No matter how weak Che Zhixian was, he was still a sect leader, yet this black robe had actually sent him flying with one move. His strength was actually terrifying to such an extent. Hai Daisy was just about to make a move, but when he saw Che Zhishuan get killed, he stopped. Although the goddess was still needed, if he didn't have a life, how could he be intimate with the goddess? Death Mage inserted the rose that was in his mouth into Sun Fang's hair. This action caused everyone to tremble with fear, and no one dared to recklessly attack Sun Fang. Sun Fang glared at the skeleton in front of her. She did not beg for mercy, nor was she afraid. Kill me if you can. You want me to be your slave? Dream on. Looking at the beauty in his arms, the undead skeleton smiled. GGG, Imperial Translation, you want to die. How could it be that easy? Death Mage could be seen lowering his head slowly. Sun Fang's expression finally changed. Everyone was stunned. What happened next caused goosebumps to rise all over people's bodies. They actually kissed. After quite a while, Death Mage raised his head. Human women's lips are so soft, my first kiss is actually gone. Looking at the woman who had already fainted, Death Mage carried her into his embrace, then picked up his scythe and disappeared from everyone's sight. There was only one thought in all the men's minds. It was over. The southern beauty Sun Fang had been defiled by a skeleton. When Death Mage appeared once again, he was already in the middle of a large mountain. Placing the woman in his embrace onto the grassland, Death Mage lit up a cigar, took out his phone, and recharged all of the money that he had left. The familiar voice sounded again. Bayubiabubiu, Master. A black figure appeared beside Death Mage and shouted out respectfully. This person was the death assassin who was guarding Long Outyen. What happened to that Long Outyen? Death Mage asked while playing with his phone. In actuality, Death Mage could very well ask Zhou Yi for money, but Death Mage felt that if he were to ask the same human for money, if news of this were to spread out, where would his face be? If Master and his honor were to find out about this, wouldn't I not even be able to raise my head? Replying to Master, Long Outyen has been staying in a small thatched cottage during this period of time, and he has not appeared. Death Assassin seemed to be a lot more normal. I finally met a normal person. Find an opportunity to ask for some money. We don't have enough funds. Master, he's here. Oh. Hurry up, it's time to top up again. Yes, Master. Death Assassin's figure disappeared in an instant, truly coming and going without a trace. Meanwhile, Death Mage continued to keep on going, bayubiubiu. Beside him, there was even Sun Fang who had fainted. However, in everyone's heart, the southern pampered girl Sun Fang was definitely being humiliated by the skeleton. However, this news would instantly spread throughout the entire south, even to the north. Now, even if Sun Fang returned safe and sound, everyone's saliva would drown her. Within the small thatched cottage, Long Out Yen, who was wearing a tattered long gown, was currently hugging onto a petite and cute girl while saying words of love. Meng Meng, I wonder if you will be able to come back alive after going out today. Long Out Yen let out a long sigh and said with an extremely gentle tone. Meng Meng rubbed onto her beloved man's chest and said, Brother Long, if you meet with misfortune, Meng Meng will accompany you. Long Out Yen took a deep breath. This is the plot of the main character, being loved by the female lead to death. Wait till I defeat that black-clothed man, the entire world will belong to me, Long Out Yen. I, Long Out Yen, will be able to pick any beauty in the world. However, Meng Meng, don't worry, when Brother Long finishes working hard outside, I will definitely come and pick you up. Long Out Yen consoled Meng Meng attentively. Meng Meng smiled tenderly, it's alright, Brother Long, you just have to work hard at ease, Meng Meng will wait for you here. Meng Meng, you are the best, Brother Long, keep this bottle of medicine, take 1 pill a day, if not, the love goo will break out. Meng Meng, I, Long Out Yen, thank the heavens for having you in this life. Tears of pain flowed out from Long Out Yen's eyes. Isn't it just having sex? To actually be so ruthless, why am I, Long Out Yen's life, so bitter? Brother Long, Meng Meng will be yours for my entire life. Meng Meng, Long Out Yen cried. After a long time, Long Out Yen said gravely, Meng Meng, I'm leaving. Brother Long, you must definitely come back victorious. Bringing along his exhausted body, Long Out Yen walked out of the small thatched cottage. The feeling of leaving feels so good. After walking far away, Long Out Yen shouted loudly, come out. My dragon god technique has already been trained to the 2nd level, watch how I take revenge today. It's all because of you, you bastard, I had to use the Earth Escape Talisman to escape to this desolate place, and even got poisoned by the love goo. You destroyed my dream of having a harem, the hatred between me and you is absolutely irreconcilable. Right after Long Out Yen finished shouting, Death Assassin suddenly appeared, giving Long Out Yen a fright. The imposing manner that he had just now immediately disappeared, and Long Out Yen immediately hid behind a tree. F***K. I have already trained my dragon god technique to the 2nd level, what am I afraid of? Walking out from behind the tree, Long Out Yen pointed at Death Assassin and shouted, you. Don't be arrogant. Let's exchange 1 move today. Let's agree on it. We will only exchange 1 move, whoever uses the 2nd move will lose. GGG. Imperial translation, no problem. Long Out Yen retracted his frivolous smile, squatted down slightly, and stared at Death Assassin with his pair of tiger-like eyes. His entire body immediately emitted out a powerful aura, and his pair of eyes gradually turned golden. Come over. Long Out Yen roared towards the sky. Death Assassin held onto the dagger and performed a horizontal stab. That night was a huge blow to Long Out Yen. He was completely unable to catch the opponent's speed, but now that his dragon god technique had been trained to the 2nd level, he was clearly able to feel the opponent's movement. Long Out Yen slightly tilted his head, and a strand of his hair slowly fell onto the ground. Long Out Yen clearly felt it, I didn't expect that I would be able to dodge the opponent's ultimate move. The smile on the corner of Long Out Yen's mouth became bigger and bigger, and soon after, he opened up his arms and laughed wildly, ha ha ha. I, Long Out Yen, have finally dodged it, the humiliation from that day has finally been washed away, ha ha ha. Death Assassin looked at Long Out Yen, who had already sunk into madness, and he really couldn't understand why Long Out Yen would be so happy after dodging his most ordinary attack. Of course, Long Out Yen was excited. In his heart, he had already treated Death Assassin as the strongest boss existence. From the start, he didn't even have the strength to fight back, to now that he was able to dodge the attack, how could he not be happy, how could he not be excited? Wait for me, Long Out Yen, to train for a month, I will fight you again, goodbye. Chapter 134. However, would the Death Assassin let him escape just like that? It was obviously impossible. He moved to block Long Out Yen's path. What do you want to do? I said that I will only exchange one move with you. Are you thinking of admitting defeat? Long Out Yen immediately panicked. If you have the guts, then let me hide for a few more years. When the time comes, I will be able to go all out. Death Assassin stretched out his thumb and index finger and poked it. Long Out Yen was so frightened that he took a few steps back when he saw the white jade-like bones. He felt that the person who was chasing after him was not a human. He even asked for money. Calming himself down, Long Out Yen took out his wallet and said, "Actually, I don't have much. The plot is just developing, and it's not the final stage yet. I only have a few thousand yuan in my card, and some change." Death Assassin took over the wallet and disappeared in an instant, leaving behind the stupefied Long Out Yen. "I haven't told you the password yet," Long Out Yen mumbled. After saying that, he paused for a moment and immediately ran off. "Brother Long, why did you come back?" Seeing Long Out Yen running back with a joyful look on his face, Meng Meng's face was filled with joy. Long Out Yen pressed on Meng Meng's shoulders and said affectionately, "Meng Meng, I still can't let you go. I've decided not to leave." Meng Meng was stupefied. She was moved to tears. "Brother Long, you are really too good to Meng Meng. I still can't beat the other party." Brother Long is feeling bitter in his heart. Wiping away her tears, Meng Meng said softly, "Brother Long, I'll cook some noodles for you." "Okay, add more sauce." "Brother Long, I hate you." On the other side, Death Assassin had already completed his mission and handed over the wallet with both hands. On the other hand, Death Mage only took out a few $100s, then threw his wallet to the side. "I'm going to deposit some money, you continue to look after Long Out Yen." "Yes." Seeing that its master did not plan to take that woman away, Death Assassin continued to ask, "Master, this woman?" Death Mage took a look at Sun Fang, who had fainted. According to the bet, Sun Fang could be considered as his female slave. However, if he were to let a female slave follow him, the expenses that he would have to spend would become huge. Sun Fang still had to eat, buy clothes, makeup, and sanitary napkins. Forget it, I don't want it anymore, just leave it here." After saying that, Death Mage went to the ATM machine to deposit the money. Death Assassin took a look at Sun Fang, who was on the ground, then disappeared as well. The Southern Beauty, she could be said to be the goddess of the cultivation world, but right now, she was being disregarded by two skeletons. The reason was very good, they were difficult to raise. Death Mage even took back the title of female slave. After an unknown period of time, Sun Fang faintly woke up. Sun Fang's beautiful eyes surveyed her surroundings, and after checking her own body, she heaved a sigh of relief when she discovered that she hadn't been violated. But when she thought of that bony face, Sun Fang clenched her fists tightly. She swore that she would never rest until she died. At this moment, Jiu Yi also left the winery and arrived at Long An City's Rank 1 shopping mall. He quietly walked into an arcade. "Lord Jiu, the master has been waiting for a long time." The man who spoke was the manager of the arcade, and his words carried a deep warning. Lord Jiu smiled and said, "Sorry, there was a traffic jam on the way." The man's eyes revealed an ominous glint. He turned around and brought Lord Jiu into the gaming hall. A man in a black cloak was sitting in front of a game console, seriously playing the game. "I'm stupid. I'm stupid. I'm stupid." The two of them didn't even dare to make a sound as they stood behind him. Hovacha, Hovacha, Ga. However, it was useless. He had lost. "Little Jiu, come and play." The man smiled, but he didn't turn around. Lord Jiu took a deep breath. "I don't dare." "Sit." The man patted the stool. Jiu Yi knew that he couldn't shirk away anymore. Rejecting once is respect, but rejecting twice is idiotic. Sitting beside the man, Lord Jiu was trembling with fear. This kind of situation was like standing in front of the boss of the bar. The man stuffed a copper coin into the man's mouth and began to select the person. "How's the situation at night?" The man asked as he selected. Master, there's been an accident. The man patted Lord Jio's shoulder. Don't be nervous. I won't kill anyone. Lord Jio thought to himself, you are probably farting. Those people didn't die. The man asked curiously. How could Lord Jio be in the mood to control the people inside? He said in a low voice, I couldn't invite the owner of the bar, so he went to fight Xiao Yi's black robe. How boring. I'm still counting on the boss of Qing Bar to be my gun. The man sighed. After a pause, the man continued to ask, how strong is Black Robe? Powerful. Compared to the owner of the bar. Only stronger, not weaker. Lord Jio thought to himself. What the fuck do I know? The man stood up and took out a stick of cigarette. The manager immediately got angry, Little Jio, you are too incompetent. This subordinate deserves to die. Master, please have mercy. Lord Jio immediately kneeled on the ground and begged for forgiveness. What happened at night, tell me about it. Lord Jio told the manager what happened. After listening to what happened, the man sneered, his calm face immediately revealed a sinister expression, spread the news. Ruin this woman's reputation for me. If not for this stinky woman, how would other powers be able to interfere in this matter? Lord Jio immediately agreed. How's the progress of the investigation at Qing Bar? The man asked again. Lord Jio didn't dare to be careless and said seriously, from the looks of it, if Black Robe is a person from Qing Bar, then his strength is the strongest. The second is that security guard. Yesterday, a youngster suddenly appeared, and his strength is also not to be underestimated. As for that boss, he seems to know summoning techniques. Last time, he even scared Cloud Sect's Jian Yuan. Humph. What's so difficult about scaring a small deacon from Cloud Sect? Is there anything else? The man asked. I have never seen him make a move, so it's hard to judge his strength. The man became silent and pondered in his heart. The boss of Qing Bar seems to be the boss, but his strength is the weakest. Could it be that he is a puppet that Black Robe set up to deceive others, and Black Robe is actually the boss of Qing Bar? This possibility is very high. If I obtained an ancient godly item, then I would definitely be able to easily kill Black Robe. However, the current situation has become complicated. Originally, he wanted to use tonight to test the strength of Qing Bar's boss. If Gao Shen killed all those people, then he could sit back and enjoy the benefits. Unexpectedly, he didn't go. Wrong. It's not that he didn't want to go, but Black Robe didn't allow him to go. After all, Black Robe is the boss in secret. How could Black Robe not go to such a big scene? If that's the case, then the boss is definitely Black Robe. Xiaojiu, keep a close eye on that Black Robe. The man shouted in a deep voice. Yes, master. This medicine is for you. Thank you, master. Lord Jio was overjoyed and hurriedly kowtowed to thank him. Go and do your work. Yes. After Lord Jio left, the man clenched his fist tightly and muttered, this game of chess has been played for 5 years, I cannot fail at the crucial moment. I will kill whoever dares to stop me. Master, you have great fortune. The manager immediately knelt down and kowtowed. Chapter 135. Pay up. The hall downstairs began to be cleaned and closed. Wei Chang no longer wore a security uniform every day after work. He had learned to dress up. Uncle Wei, with a cheerful smile on her face, Tang Wei ran over and held onto Wei Chang's arm. Uncle Wei, hurry up and go on your date. Leave this to us. Yeah. Uncle Wei, you have to protect our store flower. The surrounding shop assistants jokingly shouted. Wei Chang patted Tang Wei's head and gently said, let's go. And Tang Wei even laid her head on her sweetheart's shoulder. It was getting more and more difficult for her to leave him, and all she wanted to do was to be together with Uncle Wei. Wei Chang was very lovable, but the boss upstairs was very annoyed. Yihua sat on the sofa in the office. The entire office seemed as if it was going to catch on fire. The entire office was filled with smoke and the ashtray was filled with cigarette butts. Looking at the time, it was already 12 o'clock. However, this woman was still stubborn. I don't believe that you won't come and shout. Without my chest, can you fall asleep? The clock on the wall kept ticking, and Yihua's cigarette never stopped. Finally, it was 1 o'clock. You're not coming. You want to sleep in separate rooms? Not bad, Chinya. He was getting bolder and bolder. Go get the quilt first. Yihua stood up and opened the door of the office. The smoke in the office seemed to have found a hole to escape from, and it drilled out of the office without any regard for its life. Arriving at the door of the bedroom, Yihua prepared to open the door and enter the bedroom. Unexpectedly, the door was locked from the inside. This is truly going against the heavens. To actually lock me outside the door, what kind of wife is this? Yihua wanted to kick the door open, but he didn't. Yihua looked at the situation inside the house, and saw that Chinya was hugging onto a big doll, and with a smile on her beautiful face, Chinya was fast asleep. She actually fell asleep smiling. As for me, I actually have insomnia. If I don't sleep, don't even think about sleeping. Yihua knocked on the door, then returned to the office. Chinya, who was in a dream, wrinkled her eyebrows. Getting up from the bed, she opened the door, but who knew that there was no one outside the door? To think that you are a cultivator, these are all the actions of a child. Humph. Chinya closed the door and continued to sleep. If you have the ability, then go ahead and sleep in the office. Yihua, who was in the office, snorted. There will be a day when you will beg me to go to bed with you. At that time, just watch how I will deal with you. What an arrogant woman. Yihua decided not to sleep tonight. I'm going to do something big tomorrow morning. Yihua turned on the television and continued watching Calabash Brothers saving Grandpa. The happy scene wasn't good at all, and Big Wolf was too cowardly. If it was Big Wolf himself, he would have slapped Big Wolf twice to show his true colors as a man. Since he had decided to pull an all-nighter, Yihua prepared spicy gluten, spicy bean skin, iced Sprite, cigarettes, wine, instant noodles, and so on. Awesome! Time passed by slowly, and the sky began to turn bright. Hearing the sound of the door opening, Yihua's spirit immediately returned to him and he switched the television off. My sister-in-law is a lazy bug. Sometimes, she wouldn't wake up before noon. The one who woke up so early must be Chinya. Hearing the sound of Chinya coming down the stairs, Yihua stood beside the window and looked at the alley. As expected, Chinya went to buy breakfast in the morning. Yihua's gaze flickered with a cold light. He went to his own bedroom and looked at his substitute. He was furious. He grabbed the big doll on the bed and tore it apart before tossing it above his head. Sunfall Heavenly Flame. Kuan-Li Hellfire. Sky Ghost Flame. Blazing Sun burns the heavens. Buddha Fire Illumination. Looking from outside the window, the bedroom immediately became colorful. Yihua let out a heavy breath and muttered, "This is the result of replacing the original." After finished speaking, Yihua opened the door and left. The doll from just now had already been burnt to ashes by all kinds of flames. Doll, what fucking crime did I commit for you to do this to me? After returning back to the office, Yihua stood beside the window and observed Chinya's movements. 10 minutes later, Chinya could be seen to have returned with breakfast. Yihua extinguished the cigarette butt and waited for Chinya to go upstairs. Hearing those familiar footsteps, Yihua's brows wrinkled deeply. Unexpectedly, the footsteps stopped at the door. Unable to care about anything else, Yihua's body instantly disappeared and appeared on the sofa. The blanket that he was wearing fell onto the floor, and at this moment, the door was opened. Upon opening the door, Chinya wrinkled her brows. The inside of the door was filled with the smell of cigarettes and instant noodles. Looking at the man who was lying on the sofa, Chinya let out a sigh. Quietly walking over, she picked up the blanket that was on the floor and covered Yihua's body with it. Then, she placed the breakfast on the coffee table and casually opened the window of the room to let in some air. After doing all that, she left the office. The moment when the door was closed, Yihua opened his eyes. Looking at the blanket that was on his body and the jianbing that was on the coffee table, Yihua snorted, "At least you are sensible." Picking up the piping hot jianbing, Yihua looked at the amount of fillings. It should be an egg and a ham sausage. Biting down on it, it is rather fragrant. It is even better than the one that I bought myself. After returning back to the bedroom, Qingya went into a daze, because the doll that was on the bed disappeared. It has only been 10 minutes, how could the doll disappear on its own? Unless there is only one possibility, that miser that was pretending to be asleep. Do you think that by destroying my doll, I will have to beg you to come and sleep? Stop dreaming. For me, Qingya, to be able to get to where I am now, how could I not have a backup plan? Opening the wardrobe, Yihua saw that the 3 dolls were covered by clothes. Yihua, seems like you are going to have to sleep in the office for a few more days. After finished speaking, Qingya laughed tenderly and even threw herself onto the bed while laughing loudly. Yihua is too cute to actually be so stingy. If I were to suddenly appear when he was destroying the corpses, I wonder what kind of expression he would have. Only until noon did Yihua go out and casually walked into the bedroom. Looking at Qingya, who was currently reading a book on the bed, he asked, "What are we eating for lunch?" "Anything." Qingya replied indifferently. Look at this attitude of his, he is simply looking for a beating. However, his performance in the morning was not bad. I will forget about it this time. I prepared some meat like the one that I prepared last time. Yihua said indifferently. From start to finish, his head was looking towards the other side, seemingly like he did not care about it at all. Qingya almost couldn't help but laugh out loud. Sometimes, this fellow can anger me half to death, but sometimes, he can amuse me to death. Look at that face of his that does not care about it at all. Alright. Qingya replied indifferently. Yihua was only giving face to the jianbing in the morning, if not, he wouldn't have given it to Qingya. Qing Yutong. Are you eating lunch? Yihua knocked on his sister-in-law's door and shouted. Qing Yutong's soft voice came from the inside, "Don't call me when you guys are eating, the one who gets hurt is always me. Today, we are eating meat for lunch." Yihua added a sentence. Immediately, a hurried voice rang out from the inside, and the door was instantly opened. Qing Yutong had an excited look on her face. "Brother-in-law, is that true?" Yihua responded. Qing Yutong let out a cry and hugged onto Yihua like a koala bear. "Get up." Your butt is itching, right?" Qing Yutong immediately let go of Yihua. "Brother-in-law, do you need my help? I can wash vegetables." Scram. Snort, snort, snort. At noon, Yihua prepared a high-class desolate banquet. On the surface, Qingya was cold and indifferent, but in her heart, she was extremely happy. Chapter 136. In the blink of an eye, it was already night. Just like yesterday, Yihua waited for Qingya to wake him up. "Without the doll, let me see how you are going to sleep." Unexpectedly, after waiting for a while, it was already 1 a.m. Yihua decided to go and take a look at what was going on. Standing outside of the door, Yihua's face darkened. Why did another doll pop out? Didn't I burn the doll? Furthermore, Qingya didn't go out today, and there wasn't any express delivery. MLGB. How dare you sleep with my woman? I will kill you tomorrow morning. Yihua decided to stay up all night and wait for Qingya to go out and buy breakfast. However, he had already stayed up all night once yesterday, and his body was truly a bit unable to take it anymore. Spirit repair. He cast a spell on himself and was instantly full of energy. He could even kill a kun with one punch. The night gradually receded. Yihua was waiting for Qingya to go out and buy breakfast. Yi Hua stood at the window and looked at Qingye leaving, then immediately ran to the bedroom. Meanwhile, Qingye, who was going to buy breakfast, secretly took a look at Qingye, then immediately turned around and ran back to the bar. Wait till I catch you, I want to see how you are going to explain yourself. Yi Hua came to the bedroom and looked at the doll on the bed. Sunfall Heavenly Flames X2. Kuan-Li Hellfire X2. Sky Ghost Flame X2. Scorching Sun Burning Sky X2. Buddha Fire Illumination X2. Baby shouted in his heart, why am I A*2*? The one in front doesn't have one. Hearing the sound of hurried footsteps coming from the entrance of the staircase, Yi Hua's body faded away, and coincidentally, the door was opened by Qingye. When Qingye saw that the doll on the bed disappeared again, Qingye laughed out of anger. This is simply the jealousy king of the cultivation world. However, Yi Hua had also become smarter. He knew that Qingye must have definitely bought a lot of things. At noon, Yi Hua sneakily ran into the bedroom again, and sure enough, he discovered that damned doll in the wardrobe. To think that the damned doll is actually hiding in the wardrobe, waiting to sleep with my woman. Sunfall Heavenly Flames X10. Kuan Fire *10. Sky Ghost Flame X10. Scorching Sun Burning Sky X10. Buddha Fire Illumination *10. Wawa, however, when night came, Qingye still did not come. Yi Hua was already on the verge of going berserk, and he really wanted to burn all of the dolls in the world. However, when he arrived at the bedroom and took a look, Qingye was not sleeping inside. Could it be? This woman was actually carrying her sister-in-law. I am going to burn my sister-in-law as well. Qingye, do you really think that I, the Supreme Overlord, can't do anything to you? Coming to the office, Yi Hua called Wei Chang and Lai Gu over. Your Honor. Your Honor. Yi Hua sat on the sofa, lit up a cigarette and said faintly, let's go out together the day after tomorrow. Wei Chang and Lai Gu's eyes lit up, and soon after, they said at the same time, we will solemnly obey your Honor's command. You two go make the arrangements. Wei Chang knew that this mission would definitely fall on him, and said softly, Master, where are we going? I can book a hotel. Who told you I'm going to stay in a hotel? Camping. That kind of tent. Yi Hua shouted out gravely. These two brains have returned to the past again, right? If he were to stay in a hotel, with so many rooms, wouldn't he still be able to sleep wherever Qingye wanted? Lai Gu was very depressed. He didn't say anything, but he was also implicated. Subordinate understands, but... Wei Chang stammered, he was too embarrassed to say it out. But what? Wei Chang swallowed his saliva and said nervously, Your Honor, in the past, subordinate was still alright when I was living alone, but recently, I got a girlfriend, and my expenses became bigger. Right now, even a mantu has to be eaten in 3 bites. Lai Gu had a look of disdain on his face. There is no one else who can be like you. Just like me, I have 3 female celebrities to support me, and my life is so free and easy. That's why I say, if you want to find a woman, you must find a woman who is rich, then live the life of a gigolo, it is very comfortable. Look at how His Honor is looking for rich people, right now, the price of crayfish is at least 10 caddies. In the past, when did His Honor dare to be so extravagant? Looking at Wei Chang's depressed look, Lai Gu sighed. If you want money, look for Lai Gu. Yi Hua said coldly. Lai Gu's expression immediately collapsed and immediately said, Your Honor, subordinate is also poor. Hearing Lai Gu's words, Yi Hua and Wei Chang couldn't help but think back to the past. Every time Lai Gu was asked to fork out money, it was as if Lai Gu was asking for his life. Gold had almost piled up into a mountain, and Lai Gu still said that he didn't have money. Noticing His Honor's threatening gaze, Lai Gu immediately changed his words, Your Honor, subordinate still has a bit of money. Wei Chang, in the future, look for Lai Gu for all of the expenses. Right now, the business of the bar is getting worse day by day, all of you should save some money. Yi Hua said faintly. Wei Chang probed, What about madam? Upon mentioning Qingye, Yihua became unhappy and shouted out lightly, can I even use that stupid woman's money? Why don't the two of you use your brains? This subordinate is slow-witted, this subordinate is also slow-witted. Yihua paused for a moment, then reminded, are the two of you going to bring people with you the day after tomorrow? This subordinate will only bring little Tang along. I only have 3 celebrities with me, so I need someone to wait on me. Wei Chang looked at Lai Gu in disbelief. This bootlicking skill is truly not bad. Little Tang is a waitress, she can also be responsible. Wei Chang added. Yihua nodded his head, it's good that you have this intention. Wei Chang, you have to remember, don't buy too many tents, 3 tents is enough. Wei Chang was shocked, 3 tents. His honor and madam will definitely be 1, Lai Gu and his 3 celebrities will be 1, then I and Xiao Tang, his honor is wise. To actually empathize with his subordinates so much, I am moved to tears, I will solemnly obey his honor's command. Wei Chang said excitedly, even his tone was trembling. Yihua waved his hand, all of you can go back. Yes. Yes. After the 2 subordinates left, Yihua lied on the sofa and covered himself with a blanket. Why do I feel so miserable? Qingye, just you wait. As for Qing Yutong, Yihua definitely won't bring her along. What if Qingye sleeps with her little sister? Wouldn't this flawless plan of mine be ruined? Wanting Qing Yutong to cooperate with me is extremely easy, I just need to spank her butt and add meat in one go. Qing Yutong will happily agree to it. As long as I give her meat to eat, she will do anything. During dinner time, Qing Yutong rubbed her head and said, Big sister, I won't be going tomorrow, my head hurts. What's wrong? Qingye asked concernedly. I might have caught a cold. I told you to play less games, but you didn't listen. After finished speaking, Qingye went to look for medicine. You are already so old, yet you are still making me worry. Qing Yutong blinked her beautiful eyes towards Yihua, and Yihua silently nodded his head. Her acting is not bad, as expected of a movie empress. Qing Yutong endured the pain in her chest and ate the medicine. Big sister, you two can play at ease, I will look after the house. Qing Yutong said weakly, feeling as if she was going to die. Yihua felt that this was a bit exaggerated. As expected, looking at her little sister's appearance, Qingye said with concern, I think I will stay at home and take care of you. Yihua's heart sunk. Qing Yutong also knew that her acting just now was over the line. Her tone became a bit calmer, Big sister, I will be fine after sleeping for a while. Furthermore, I will be starting my live stream next week, I have to properly practice my skills. Qingye knocked onto her little sister's forehead petulantly. You are already so sick, yet you are still playing games. Let's see how you will be tomorrow morning. Although she was working together with her brother-in-law to lie to her big sister, the look of concern in her big sister's eyes really made Qing Yutong feel very touched. Qing Yutong could be seen hugging onto Qingye and said tenderly, Big sister, you are the best. Qingye smiled, caressed onto her little sister's beautiful hair, then looked at Yihua who was silently eating. She discovered that ever since Yihua appeared, the relationship between her and her little sister had also become better, not like before. Everyone, rest early today. Yihua said faintly, then walked back to the office. Qingye snorted coldly. Qing Yutong let out a breath, these two obviously wanted to die, but they just couldn't put down their face, why bother? Yihua who was lying on the sofa was in a very good mood, as if he could already see Qingye's expression of surrendering and then begging for forgiveness from him. Just thinking about that, Yihua laughed out. Dong, dong, dong. Come in. Wei Chang could be seen walking in with a weird expression. What's the matter? Chapter 137. Yihua's brows immediately wrinkled, the woman is waiting for me. And, her emotions are very unstable. Wei Chang was also confused. Could it be that his honor had gotten into a relationship with her outside? If the madam were to find out about this, it would be troublesome. Yi Hua snorted coldly. It wasn't like this kind of woman had never appeared before. I will deal with her how I dealt with her in the past. Is there a need to tell me about this kind of thing? But this woman is different. Wei Chang said in a low voice. How is it different? Yi Hua asked gravely. Wei Chang said solemnly, Your Honor, you should go and take a look. Yi Hua let out a breath and glared at Wei Chang. You can't even handle such a small matter. Did you become stupid from dating? Wei Chang didn't dare to make a sound. This really isn't the problem of dating, this is the problem of Your Honor. Yi Hua walked down the stairs. There was no one else in the hall, all the employees had left, and there was only a beautiful figure sitting there. The beautiful black hair hung down to her waist. Just this back view alone was enough to give Yi Hua a high score. Furthermore, there was a sword on the right hand of the woman. Meanwhile, she was currently drinking wine and seemed to be rather vexed. If it was the Yi Hua in the past, he would definitely go and strike up a conversation with the woman and then have a wonderful night with her. Thinking up to here, Yi Hua couldn't help but recall a past event. That woman seemed to be in the same state back then. Yi Hua gestured to Wei Chang, and Wei Chang nodded his head and walked forward. Miss, our boss is here. The woman who was drinking wine slowly turned her head around and took a look at Yi Hua. Soon after, she started drinking again, and said, He isn't your boss is a skeleton. Yi Hua was immediately startled. This woman actually saw through my true identity. Wei Chang walked over and said in a low voice, Your Honor, isn't this strange? Yi Hua nodded his head. Seems like this woman doesn't come with good intentions. Let's get some information out of her first. How did she know that I am a skeleton? That's right, this woman is Sun Fang. Ever since she returned that night, Sun Fang heard all kinds of rumors, all kinds of versions. On the second day, it was as if the whole world knew that she was tainted by a skeleton. As the sect master of Cloud's sect, to be tainted by a skeleton. This is simply even more unbearable than being killed. Just yesterday, the rumor storm became even more shameless and despicable. A few elders of Cloud Martial School could no longer sit still. They begged Sun Fang to abdicate, otherwise, Cloud Martial School's 1,000 years of foundation would become a laughingstock for everyone. Sun Fang also knew the seriousness of the matter. She didn't blame the elders. Everyone was thinking for the sect. As for Sun Fang, she had left the Yun sect yesterday. She had left the home that she had lived in for a long time. In her heart, she had thought of committing suicide. However, Sun Fang was unwilling. Even if she had to die, she wanted to drag that skeleton down with her. His reputation and innocence had been completely destroyed by the skeleton. In this life, there was only one thing he wanted to do, and that was to kill that skeleton. Wei Chang pulled out the stool, and Yi Hua sat at the opposite of Sun Fang. He discovered that this woman was indeed beautiful, and her weak eyes seemed to have received a huge blow. How did you know that I am a skeleton? Yi Hua asked gravely, and his killing intent was revealed. Sun Fang was also a little dizzy from drinking too much. She misheard. She looked at the handsome guy in front of her and said, Because I saw it. He's a skeleton. I want to kill him. Yi Hua and Wei Chang were both stupefied. What kind of plot is this? Wasn't he jumping way too fast? Why did you want to kill skeletons? Yi Hua asked curiously. Sun Fang's beautiful eyes turned cold, and a fierce aura burst out from her entire body, because it tainted my innocence. My only wish in this life is to kill it. The skeleton tainted the lady's innocence. Yi Hua couldn't help but curse out, F***K. Wei Chang was even more stupefied. He asked curiously, Lady, may I ask, how did the skeleton taint your innocence? Bang! A silver light flashed, and a sharp sword was placed on Wei Chang's neck. If you dare to say another word, I will take your life. Sun Fang shouted out drunkenly, and the sword that she was holding onto in her hand was completely unsteady. Yihua shook his head towards Wei Chang. Wei Chang naturally understood what his honor meant. As an undead, to actually have such a scum of the same race, Yihua decided to get rid of this woman. This woman looks rather pitiful. Recently, I have become a good person. Do you still remember the characteristics of that skeleton? For example, weapons, and clothes? Yihua asked. Sun Fang's head was dizzy, and while swaying, she said intermittently, It likes to play with my phone, fish, it wears a black gown, and it has a big scythe. It doesn't know how to speak, and its mouth often makes GGG sounds. Hearing that, Yihua was confused. On the other hand, Wei Chang was stupefied. Isn't this the fucking death mage? The evil spirit that I summoned actually tainted a human woman. How is this possible? It is just a skeleton, how did it do that? Your Honor, subordinate has a matter to report to you. Wei Chang said in a low voice. Yihua silently nodded his head, and conveniently called Lai Gu over. This damned skeleton is going to be stewed after I capture it. Your Honor, the skeleton that this woman is talking about, it is one of us. Wei Chang finally spoke out, and immediately, he felt that his entire body had become light. Yihua and Lai Gu were both stupefied. It is an evil spirit that subordinates summoned out to handle some matters. Wei Chang continued. After a moment of astonishment, Yihua said faintly, since it is one of us, then forget about it. However, we have to make things clear, if both parties are willing to do it, then we can just chase it away. If it is a one-sided forceful act, then we have to ask it to take responsibility. For it to even come to my place to cause trouble, what is this? Your Honor is right, I will call it over right now and have it confront this lady face to face. Wei Chang felt that it should be like that, just that, I really don't understand, how did a skeleton taint a human? Lai Gu said in a low voice, damn, is the evil spirit that you summoned so good at flirting? Even I have some thoughts about this woman. Lai Gu, how can you not be disgusted, to think about my little brother's woman? TSK, I was just joking, look at how anxious you are, I am a man who has mysophobia. Wei Chang chuckled. What a neat freak. Everyone moved to the toilet, and Wei Chang began his daily summoning, Death Mage. Under the overhead bridge, it was still the same position, it was still the same black gown, and it was still sitting on the scythe of death. The only thing that changed was Death Mage's phone. From a 10,000 yuan phone to a 1,000 yuan phone, even if it was late at night, Death Mage was still struggling. Bayu, Biu, the surrounding vagrants' ears were all filled with cotton. Suddenly, Death Mage stopped, and his body instantly disappeared. The surrounding vagrants felt that the flies in their ears had finally flown away, and all of them let out a breath of relief. Finally, they were able to sleep peacefully. In the toilet of the leisure bar. Can't you just choose a clean place to summon? Yihua said displeased. Wei Chang said respectfully, Your Honor, be at ease, I have already cleaned up the place. Can I lick it? Lai Gu pouted his mouth and said. Right at this moment, a black figure appeared. Death Mage went into a daze for a moment, and soon after, he didn't even dare to think anymore and kneeled onto the ground, Your Honor. Chapter 138. Death Mage stood up while trembling. This is my first time seeing His Honor's face, I am really too lucky. I am too excited. We are both undead, but His Honor is so outstanding, I am left in the dust, Lai Gu grinned, little skeleton, you are not bad, your luck with women is not bad. Death Mage lowered his head, not daring to make any unnecessary movements and not daring to speak casually. Yihua said faintly, come out and take a look. Everyone walked out of the toilet. Do you know that woman? Yihua asked gravely. Death Mage did not dare to be negligent, Your Honor, I know her. She said that you have tainted her innocence, is that true? Yihua continued to ask. Death Mage went into a daze. Tainted her innocence? How? With my fingers? Your Honor, This is purely framing subordinate. I hope that your honor can return subordinate's innocence. Subordinate's innocence cannot be tainted by a woman. Death Mage immediately kowtowed. This woman is too shameless to actually complain about me in front of his honor. Isn't it just removing your title as a female slave? To actually make such a big fuss in front of his honor. Hateful humans. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have made the bet. I lost again. Yihua took out a cigarette, and Lai Gu immediately got angry. Lai Gu breathed out a mouthful of smoke. Do you dare to say it clearly to her face? Subordinate dares. Death Mage said gravely. All right, we will be witnesses then. If you dare to lie to me, you should know what will happen to you. Yihua said faintly. His words contained a majestic might, causing Death Mage to not dare to make any small movements. Subordinate understands, subordinate will confront this woman right now. Death Mage was rather angry as well. I didn't kill this woman, and yet, this woman actually came to disturb his honor's cultivation. Luckily, his honor didn't blame me. If not, even if I were to die 10,000 times, I wouldn't be able to absolve myself from the blame. Damn, this subordinate of yours is not bad. This show is definitely going to be fun to watch. Lai Gu said softly at the side. Wei Cheng let out a sigh. How can my subordinate possibly get close to a woman? It is completely impossible. Death Mage could be seen walking over slowly and stopped 5 meters away from Sun Fang. Sun Fang turned her head and looked towards Death Mage, and the two's gazes intersected in the air. Confirmed gaze. I met the right person. When Lai Gu saw the gazes of the two of them, he couldn't help but sing out slowly. That feeling of deep affection seemed to be reminiscing about his mother dragon. Sun Fang was already drunk to the point of dizziness, but when she saw that skull face, her blurred eyes instantly surged with killing intent. Without saying anything, she raised her sword and rushed forward. To a person who was already drunk, their brain might be able to move, but their body would not be able to keep up with the rhythm. As a result, Sun Fang directly pounced into Death Mage's embrace. Wei Cheng stretched out his hand and covered Lai Gu's eyes. Children shouldn't look. Lai Gu immediately slapped Lai Gu's hand away. What? You want to monopolize such a good show? What if she wants to take off her clothes? As expected, this is a good show. Yihua muttered. Death Mage was alarmed. This feeling doesn't come from the woman, but from his honor who is at the side. Sun Fang was feeling dizzy, and the long sword in her hand had already fallen onto the ground. Her small fist landed onto Death Mage's chest. Yihua and his two subordinates went into a daze. Why does this action seem so familiar? I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you, you skeleton, to actually forcefully kiss me and destroy my chastity. I'm going to kill you. Not only did this kind of tone not have any lethality, it was more like a woman who was acting coquettishly. For example, Yihua was able to sense that Qingyu would often say some unrealistic things. This time, Wei Cheng finally understood what was going on. It seems like it was his subordinate who forcefully kissed another woman, and the other party was the kind of woman who viewed chastity as her life. I'm going to kill you. While speaking, Sun Fang became drunk. To her, the past few days were too tiring. Yihua brought Wei Cheng and Lai Gu over and said, Do you know your crime? Death Mage was greatly startled and immediately knelt down. Your honor, please spare my life. Subordinate only lowered my head. She didn't resist, and subordinate didn't destroy her chastity. Then, before you kissed her, did you get the other party's permission? Yihua asked gravely. Death Mage actually started sweating, and after a while, he said, Subordinate knows his crime. Yihua snorted, and Wei Cheng and Lai Gu immediately stood there obediently. I have already told you two before. We are here to cultivate our humanity, and we have to look at things from a human's point of view. How could you go and forcefully kiss someone without getting the other party's permission? Fortunately, you are my subordinate's subordinate. If not, I would have stewed you. Yihua gave out a severe criticism. Is it glorious for something like this to be spread out? For a subordinate to have to forcefully kiss a human, and that human came to me to reason with me, if this was to be spread out, where would my face be? Death Mage was exulted. Thank you, Your Honor, for not killing me. Tell me what happened once, Lai Gu, bring the hops over. Yi Hua sat down and said. Wei Chang added, I want the melon seeds too. Death Mage stood up and wanted to throw the woman who was in his embrace out, but in the end, he was stopped by his Honor's gaze. Yi Hua said faintly, as an undead, you have to dare to take responsibility for what you have done. Since you have destroyed the other party's chastity, and the other party also came to me to reason with me, I will not be biased towards anyone. From today onwards, you will have to take good care of this woman. Your Honor. Death Mage really wanted to cry. Why did I end up in such a situation? I can't even protect myself, and I still have to bring a woman along. Are you thinking of disobeying my orders? I don't dare. Lai Gu brought over the hops and melon seeds, and Yi Hua said faintly, tell me what happened once. In the following half an hour, Death Mage began his performance. Especially when it came to the climax, he was simply unable to control himself. Your Honor, this woman is too shameless, she coveted subordinate's appearance, and in front of everyone's eyes, she even said that subordinate secretly kissed her. And now, because of this, she even came to Your Honor and disturbed Your Honor's sleep time. Subordinate blushed with shame. I hope that Your Honor can retract your orders, this kind of woman is truly not to be trifled with. After finished speaking, Death Mage lowered his head. Just now, I had already fought for my final chance. If I am still unable to get rid of this woman, then I will just accept my fate. Yi Hua did not say anything, and was currently thinking about another problem. This woman's background is not small, she is actually the sect master of Cloud's sect. I reckon that I will be able to use her in some way in the future. For a woman like this to be compatible with my subordinate, just that, for me to make my subordinate use the honey trap, this is truly making things difficult for me. What do you two think? Yi Hua asked Wei Chang and Lai Gu. The two's hearts sunk. It's time for the exam again, I forgot to draw circles in the past. After a long while, Wei Chang said solemnly, Your Honor, subordinate feels that it is better to destroy a temple than to destroy a marriage. Since this sect master has taken a fancy to my subordinate, as the sect master, I, as the sect master, should be happy. Hearing what Wei Chang said, Lai Gu's eyes shone. Your Honor, what gluttonous monster said is extremely true, this is a love that transcends races. However, when Lai Gu finished speaking, the three went into a daze. Soon after, they looked towards Death Mage's face, then looked towards Sun Fang who was in Death Mage's embrace. This fellow actually used his real body to make a human woman fall in love with him, and furthermore, the human woman is a beautiful female sect master. This female sect master's taste is rather unique. If Yi Hua and the others were to reveal their real bodies, I reckon that other people would probably faint from fright. Yi Hua coughed lightly. He did not want to lecture his two subordinates and said, It is already quite late, this matter is decided, all of you can go back to your places now. After finished speaking, Yi Hua turned around and went upstairs. My little brother's woman has already come to look for me, and my little brother's woman is even more so, and yet, my woman is acting like that. Chapter 139. Death Mage hugged onto Sun Fang who was in his embrace, and he even had the heart to die as he shouted out lightly, Master, since his honor has spoken, you should just treat this human well. After Wei Chang finished speaking, he stepped into the black void. Lai Gu smiled and patted on Death Mage's shoulder, if you don't want it, you can give it to me. Death Mage was very straightforward as he stretched out both of his hands. Lai Gu was startled. His honor is from the undead race as well, and this undead race sure is straightforward. Brat, it is better for you to keep it for yourself. After finished speaking, Lai Gu disappeared, leaving behind Death Mage who had a depressed look on his face. Looking at the woman in his arms, the corners of her eyes were still wet. Even though she was drunk, her brows were still tightly knitted. Death Mage let out a heavy sigh. If I knew that it would be like this, I wouldn't have revoked her identity as a female slave. Listening to his honor's words, I still have to treat her well. How is it possible that I don't even have money to play games, and I still have to raise a woman? What kind of joke is this? Death Mage also disappeared from the leisure bar. As for where he went, it was naturally under the heavenly bridge. The only difference was that he had to carry a woman while fishing, and the surrounding vagrants were suffering unspeakably. The next day, Yihua woke up very early in the morning and looked at the weather outside. The weather was warm and sunny. The weather was the most suitable for traveling. When he thought of his meticulous plan, the corners of his mouth unconsciously curled up. After washing up, Yihua woke up Qingye, who was sleeping in his sister-in-law's room. Qing Yutong naturally had to pretend that she had recovered from her illness. This way, Qingye would be able to go to Yihua's room with peace of mind. Qingye had prepared some clothes, and while wearing a big round hat to block the sun, Qingye looked very comfortable. Right now, even if Qingye didn't have any noble clothes on, Qingye was still able to show off her nobility. Yihua was very satisfied with Qingye's change. This is the temperament that his honor's wife should have. Yehua, where are we going? Qingye asked faintly, and her tone was still the same, neither warm nor angry. Yihua said indifferently, you will know once you get there. This guy, he wanted to give me a surprise but he was still sneaky. Do you think I don't know what you're thinking? Little sister must have been bribed by you. At this moment, Wei Chang and Lai Gu were already waiting downstairs. Beside them, there were 4 women who were dressed in maid attire, and they were acting as the service personnel for this trip. Among them were Wei Chang's girlfriend, Tang Wei, and Lai Gu's 3 big celebrities, Yi Yi, Wen Xia, and Bai Xiaozhen. It must be said that Wei Chang and Lai Gu's eyesight was very good. These 4 women could be considered as top-notch beauties, especially after they ate the golden delicate crane. Their appearance became even more beautiful. Looking at his subordinates' women, Yihua couldn't help but nod his head. I will be able to bring them out. As for whether or not they will be able to gain face, that will have to depend on how well they teach them. When Qingye saw these 4 women, she was a bit stupefied. Why are all of them wearing maid attire? All kinds of black silk, all kinds of lace, all kinds of visual allure. Although their expressions were filled with respect, Qingye still felt that it was strange. Even Xiao Tang is among them, and why do those 3 women look so familiar to me? Boss, lady boss. The people below shouted in unison. Yihua gladly accepted it, and although Qingye was stupefied, she still accepted it. Those 3 celebrities are my subordinates' women. Yihua added, lest the jealous king beside him took the opportunity to make a fuss. Qingye snorted. Today is a rare opportunity. I and my subordinate have not gone out together for a very long time. As for why I am bringing them out, firstly, they can do odd jobs, and secondly, they also need to go on a date. Yihua said faintly. Qingye didn't believe him. Are all you cultivators like this when you go out? Do you feel that they have become our big light bulb? If you want, we can go to the world of just the 2 of us. Yihua said softly beside Qingye's ear. Towards Yihua's teasing, Qingye pinched Yihua harshly, then rolled her eyes at Yihua and walked forward. Yihua laughed lightly. Women, they always say one thing but mean another. The 4 women who were acting as maids immediately took over the small box from Qingye's hands, and their expressions were incomparably respectful. Yihua, Wei Chang, and Lai Gu walked at the back. Are there any abnormalities with your women? Yihua asked faintly. Your honor, don't worry, they are able to fight, defend, and deal damage. Lai Gu laughed. Wei Chang laughed lightly. Right now, Xiao Tang is still not proficient in controlling her strength. Subordinate will let her practice diligently in the future. The 2 of you have done well. In the future, there will definitely be more people that will be needed. For now, train properly. Yes. Yes. Outside of the bar, 2 top-end Cayennes were parked. This time, Qingye finally did not have to be the chauffeur and sat at the back with Yihua. Wei Chang was the chauffeur, Lai Gu sat at the front passenger seat, and the 4 maids sat in the second car. Yi Hua didn't say where they were going, but Wei Chang knew where they were going. Playing was a part of it, causing trouble was also a part of it, and killing was also a part of it. After Lai Gu got onto the car, he sent a message to his women, telling them to go and clear the bar first, to prevent anyone from disturbing his honor's mood. After receiving the message, Lai Gu said to Wen Xia who was beside him, Gu told us to go and clear the bar first. Wen Xia was the only one who had short hair out of the 4 women. She was filled with a heroic spirit, and even gave people a kind of feeling of handsomeness. Of course, it was the kind of handsomeness that belonged to women, and her figure belonged to the fiery type. Lai Gu was very fond of this type. The one who was sitting behind Wen Xia was called Bai Xiaozhen. She belonged to the cute type of beauty. Her oval face looked very comfortable, and her bashful look couldn't help but make people feel tender towards her. As for Tang Wei, there was no need to talk about her. She belonged to the pure type of girl. Perhaps it was because she wasn't familiar with Lai Gu, or perhaps it was because she saw the 3 celebrities. She was a bit nervous. Clear the bar. A trace of an evil smile appeared on the corner of Wen Xia's mouth as she stepped on the accelerator, and like an arrow that left the bow, the top-end Cayenne shot out. Tang Wei immediately grabbed onto the handle of the car. I feel that they are very ferocious. They are completely different from what I see on television. In the beginning, Tang Wei was actually very nervous. Uncle Wei asked me to come over and act as the boss's waiter, and I felt that it was quite an honor. However, when I thought about how I am the only one coming over, I became a bit nervous, afraid that I would do something wrong. After hearing that there were 3 more celebrities, Tang Wei immediately let out a sigh of relief. When she saw the 3 celebrities that came over this morning, Tang Wei was very surprised. They are actually the popular actresses. I even secretly asked Uncle Wei, and in the end, those 3 actresses are actually Uncle Wei's friends' women. I am about to get dizzy. However, looking at their expressions, they are even more nervous than me. Hello, I am Bai Xiaozhen, nice to meet you. Just when Tang Wei was thinking blindly, Bai Xiaozhen who was at the side took the initiative to greet Tang Wei, and with a blush on her small face, Tang Wei cried out in surprise. Soon after, she held on to Bai Xiaozhen's delicate hand and said, Hello, I am Tang Wei. From what I heard from Gu, you are Uncle Wei's girlfriend. Bai Xiaozhen's voice was a bit low. Even if she was talking to a girl, she would still be shy and lower her head. However, it was precisely because of this, that Bai Xiaozhen gained countless fans in the entertainment circle. Every time a male fan saw that shy look on Bai Xiaozhen's face, Bai Xiaozhen would instantly earn a few hundred million. Chapter 140. You guys know about this too. Tang Wei also became a bit shy, and a blush slowly climbed onto her neck. Wen Xia who was driving stretched out her hand and said coolly, Wen Xia. Tang Wei immediately held onto her hand, hello. She turned her head and smiled sweetly, hello Tang Wei, my name is Iran. Hello. Tang Wei was a bit overwhelmed by the favor, so they are actually very amiable and approachable. You are thinking too much, isn't it all because of your Wei Chang's woman? Wen Xia still smiled gently, Xiao Tang, we are friends in the future, we need to walk around more often. What big sister Iran said is right. Tang Wei was the youngest among the 4, so it was normal for her to address the other 3 as big sister. Bai Xiaozhen said weakly, Tang Wei, are you prepared? We are going to clear the place later. Do we need to prepare for clearing the place too? Tang Wei asked innocently. Wen Xia said calmly, clearing the place is equivalent to killing. Tang Wei was immediately stupefied, while Bai Xiaozhen seemed very shy, but her pair of beautiful eyes were flickering with excitement. Don't think that only Yi Hua was instilling crooked logic into Qingya, Lai Gu was the same as well, and his brainwashing was very successful. However, this time, it was a rare opportunity for him to pull all of the women out to train and see the effect. In actuality, Wei Chang also had the same intention. Tang Wei's temperament was still too kind, and this was not a good thing. coming out today was to let her train her courage. Yihua's car drove at a moderate speed, and when Qingye saw the car behind them speeding away, she asked curiously, "It is very dangerous for them to drive so fast." Lai Gu smiled, "Madam, don't worry, they know what they are doing. What are they in a hurry to do? Isn't it good for them to go together with us?" Qingye asked. "Madam, they are going over first to prepare." Lai Gu explained carefully, his mood was pretty good. Yihua said faintly, "Why would there be so many questions?" Qingye snorted, "Can't I just ask out of curiosity? He really acts like a big boss no matter where he goes. I feel that my mental state is also developing towards this direction." Very quickly, they got on the highway. Qingye was very curious where Yihua was going to bring her to play, and as she thought about it, she got a bit sleepy and gradually fell asleep. Yihua took a look at Qingye. Only a sleeping Qingye is capable of making one feel tender affection for her. Seeing that Qingye was slowly falling to one side and was about to touch the door frame, Yihua stretched out his hand and held onto Qingye's forehead, then lightly hugged onto Qingye's shoulder and let Qingye use his shoulder as a pillow. Qingye, who was asleep, pursed her lips and hugged onto Yihua's arm. "Because if I don't hug onto something, I will feel that something is missing." "Drive it steadily," Yihua said faintly. Wei Cheng, who was driving, nodded and controlled the speed at 100. "Damn it, it's been a few days, and I can finally hug this stupid woman. Today is really a good day." 2 hours later, they got off the highway, entered the village road, and then turned into the mountain road. They drove through the forest for half an hour. If there were people, they would sometimes see flying cars. Not long later, they finally arrived at their destination. At this place, there was a waterfall that wasn't big nor small, and the water droplets that splashed out from the waterfall were as fine as dust and smoke. As the water droplets floated in the air, they formed a mist that covered the forest with a layer of thin veil. At first glance, an extremely beautiful rainbow could even be seen. The water quality of the water here was not something that the water quality in the city could compare to. If one were to look carefully, one would even be able to see fishes swimming at the bottom of the water. Presumably, the meat of the fishes would be delicious and delicious. For maids could be seen to have arrived at the scene a long time ago, and all of the facilities were already prepared. Tents, chairs, dining tables, cooking utensils, food, etc. were currently standing in a row to welcome them. However, just an hour ago, the scene here wasn't this peaceful. 1 hour ago, Big Sister Xia, are we lost? Tang Wei, who was sitting at the back, asked curiously. She opened up her phone and took a look at it, then said, "We aren't." Gugu had already come over to take a look. "We have arrived," Wen Xia said coldly as she stepped on the accelerator. Tang Wei took a look and immediately cried out in surprise, "Big Sister Xia! There is a waterfall in front of us, quickly! Quickly stop the car!" Amidst Tang Wei's screams, the Cayenne flew out from the top of the waterfall. Other than Tang Wei, the other 3 women felt that it was very exciting. Bang! The entire car unreasonably landed at the bottom of the waterfall, and Tang Wei had yet to come back to her senses. Bai Ji still smiled, "Everyone, prepare yourselves and strive to perform well in front of the boss, don't make things difficult for Gugu." "You are still right, although it is just a simple outing," Gugu said that it is also a part of the boss test. When Xia loosened the seatbelt and took out a mirror to take a look at herself. "I better not lose face as a man in front of the boss." Tang Wei was completely stupefied, not understanding what they were talking about. "What are you all talking about? Why don't I understand what you all are talking about?" Tang Wei asked confusedly. Bai Xiaojin said tenderly, "Tang Wei, you will know after we get off the car." While feeling puzzled, Tang Wei got off the car along with the 3 women. Sizing up the surroundings, "I feel that it is indeed not bad, this is a good place for camping. For such delicate and beautiful women appeared in the depths of the forest, and furthermore, they were dressed so alluringly. All of them were dressed in black lace-made attire, and their long legs were dressed in black stockings, and the stockings were even the kind that had a net on them. On their feet, they were wearing high heels, and their long legs were vividly displayed. Immediately, countless sounds of saliva being swallowed rang out from the surroundings. Bang! 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 In an instant, countless figures descended from the sky, and the way they appeared was extremely shocking. Wherever they landed, the ground would be stepped on, and from this, it could be seen how valiant they were. Tang Wei was a bit scared as she moved closer to the other 3 women. Around 100 people surrounded the 4 women in the center, and all of these people were dressed in different styles. Some were dressed in ancient style, some were dressed in modern style, and there were even some who wore bell-bottoms. However, the only thing that all of them had in common was their gazes. They wished that they could swallow the 4 women in front of them. A handsome man could be seen flinging his bangs as he walked out with large strides. I am Extreme Will Pavilion's big disciple, Sun Wei. You all, who are you all? Yi immediately revealed a delicate and weak look as she hugged onto Wenxia's arm. Not only did this action not make others feel pity for her, Yi even started laughing out loud, and his gaze revealed savagery. Beauties, this place has long been taken over by us. Let's go then. As expected of a celebrity, when they start playing around, it would be great. Sun Wei immediately stopped. Beauties, don't be like this, I have just regained my single status, and I can see that you look pretty good, how about becoming my girlfriend? After saying that, he stretched out his hand, wanting to touch Yi Ran's pretty face. However, before he could even touch her face, he flew into the sky like a cannonball and even lit up for a moment. Bai Xiaojun said shyly, I only wanted to give him a kick, I didn't expect that it would turn out like this. The surrounding men sucked in a breath of cold air. A delicate woman had actually kicked an adult man into the air, and this was not an ordinary kick. He flew into the sky and had yet to land. Chapter 141. She still maintained her weak expression and said indifferently, each of you take one direction, the boss is coming soon, hurry up. When Xia and Bai Xiaojun nodded, Tang Wei was still panicking. When she appeared again, her slender legs were on top of a man's forehead, the high heels on her feet had pierced through the man's skull, blood flowed out from the heels. The man's eyes were filled with shock, but he could not help but look down. He immediately felt that he died with grievance, she was actually wearing safety pants. Screams suddenly sounded, the small valley was filled with wails, the clear water turned bright red. Tang Wei looked at the man in front of her with a sinister expression, she continuously retreated until she leaned against the car door. Die! The man raised his butcher knife, as if he had already seen the beauty being cut into 2. Tang Wei was very nervous, but she also knew to resist, she grabbed the man's arm and flung it. Maybe because she used too much strength, she did not throw the man out, but her arm was forcibly torn off. Looking at the arm that was spurting blood, a black mist flashed past Tang Wei's beautiful eyes, the gentleness on her face gradually faded, and was replaced with a fierce look. Kill! This was a completely one-sided situation, there was no possibility of turning the tables, not even letting anyone escape, the method was so cruel that even the heavens had to cover it up, unable to bear to look at it. In a few minutes, there was only one person left out of the few hundred people, and that person did not move at all, he was just a lackey that had just entered the sect, often boasting that he had a strong backing, bullying people in all kinds of ways, knowing that this time they were going to cause trouble, he became even more terrible. In the end, before the matter even started, it came to them, when had they ever seen this kind of scene, they had only seen it on the television. Quickly come here, there is an honest person here, quickly come and bully him. Bai Xiaojun waved her pure white willow arms, her whole body was clean, not letting the dirty blood stick to her body. Yi Ran, Wenxia, and Tang Wei slowly walked over. The man was already scared to the point of peeing, he knelt on the ground with a plop. I will tell you everything, we are from the north, we are guarding here to ambush, I will tell you everything you want to know, please don't kill me. She still walked over slowly, looking down at the man kneeling down, this is not important, killing you is just to let the boss have some peace. Boss. The man slowly raised his head and looked at the woman in front of him. They actually had a boss. They killed so many people just to let the boss have some peace and quiet. Who was their boss? The man suddenly felt an itch on his neck. After the world spun around him, he saw his body kneeling on the ground. Where did my head go? Where did my head go? Why can't I feel the existence of my hands? No. I don't want to die. After dealing with the last one, he opened the trunk again. Let's split up the work. Don't dirty the boss's eyes. That was the situation an hour ago. Get up. Yihua called out lightly. Sob, 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 Yihua sighed helplessly. However, when Qingye let out such a tender moan, Yihua felt his heart itching. Have we arrived? Qingye opened her hazy beautiful eyes, and suddenly discovered that she was currently hugging onto Yihua. Qingye immediately let go of Yihua. Yihua snorted coldly, What, are you going to let go after hugging me enough? It's not like I wanted to hug you on purpose. Qingye said in a low voice, then opened the door and got off the car, not giving Yihua the chance to flip out. A slight smile appeared on Yihua's face. Your Honor, seems like the madam is still unable to escape from your palms. Wei Chang calmed down and said with a slight smile. Yihua snorted lightly, she will never be able to escape from my palms in this lifetime. Lai Gu quickly took out a small notebook and recorded down his Honor's golden words, then tell them to his women. Wouldn't that make them feel extremely touched? Then, just thinking about all kinds of services made me feel extremely happy. After getting off the car, Yihua smelled a familiar smell of blood. Taking a deep breath, I feel great. Boss. The four women shouted out tenderly. Yihua nodded his head and said faintly, You have done well. Thank you for your praise, boss. The four women slightly bowed their bodies and shouted out. Meanwhile, Qingye was currently playing with rocks not far away. Qingye appeared to be indifferent, but she would observe Yihua from time to time. Seeing Qingye's adorable actions, Yihua walked over. Even the boss is praising you all, not bad. Lai Gu walked forward and hooked onto Bai Xiaozhen's chin. Bai Xiaozhen shyly lowered her head. Wenxia, give me a smile. Lai Gu stretched out his hand and slapped onto Bai Xiaozhen's head. Wenxia, who had been cold the entire time, revealed a bashful look, annoying, haha. While they were whispering sweet nothings to each other, Tang Wei directly threw herself into Wei Chang's embrace. Gently caressing the woman in his arms, Wei Chang said softly, Are you used to it? Yes, it's all right. From an obedient school belle, Tang Wei gradually turned into a female-killing god. The three celebrities were also the same. In the past, they did not even dare to think that they would have such a day. Bad guy training school. Do you want to know about it? Yihua walked to Qingye's side and said faintly, You drooled just now again. Qingye took a glance at Yihua's shoulder. There is nothing there, liar. Don't look, I wiped it off. Humph. Pay attention to your image. With so many subordinates looking at you, you have to act like a wife. Yihua said, then walked towards Wei Chang and the others. Qingye stomped her feet and threw out a small stone. This scoundrel is actually starting to educate me again. Doesn't he know that we are in a cold war? However, what Yihua said was still reasonable. As a madam, she had to act like a madam and not let her subordinates look down on her. I'll give him some face today. After finished speaking, Qingye's aura changed and she slowly walked over. Yihua said to Wei Chang and Lai Gu, Look, as long as I play a few tricks, she will immediately surrender. Your Honor is wise and resourceful, subordinate admires you. Wei Chang said fearfully. Seems like in the future, if I encounter any relationship problems, I can look for His Honor to resolve them. Your Honor is formidable. Lai Gu was filled with admiration. His Honor is becoming more and more intelligent, he is no longer as simple-minded as he was in the past. In order to show his authority, Yi Hua waved his hand towards Qingya. Qingya pouted her mouth, then walked over. Yi Hua felt very comfortable in his heart. This is just the beginning, that's all. Of course, a barbecue was necessary for camping. All of these things have already been prepared. As the 4 maids for today, their mission was to take care of everyone's food and drinks. Yi Hua sat at the side of the water and started fishing. Accompanying him was naturally Wei Chang and Lai Gu. Wei Chang was still alright, but Lai Gu had an impatient look on his face. Because not a single fish took the bait, he was about to explode from anger. Qingya lay on the bench and would occasionally peel some fruits for Yi Hua. This could be counted as giving Yi Hua a bit of face to prevent him from throwing a tantrum. Chapter 142. Lai Gu swung his fishing rod again. Boss, my fish isn't coming up, is it because the bait has expired? You are the one that has expired. Wei Chang teased. Although Qingya didn't say anything, she was still listening at the side. She felt that sometimes, they were like superior and subordinate, and sometimes, they were like friends, and Yi Hua played the leading role in the middle. She felt that this man had a whole body of secrets that he just didn't want to tell her. A cultivator actually opened a bar in a remote alley, and his subordinates were even working as security guards in the bar. There was even a strange dog at that time, and who knows where it went right now. I reckon that it was stewed by someone. But their actions are too strange. Could it be that Yi Hua is hiding from some enemy, and that's why he is hiding like this? No matter if it is television or novels, they all say that the weak are prey to the strong in the cultivation world. If Yi Hua is really hiding from his enemy, what should I do? Why don't I go abroad together, and if it really doesn't work, I can just hide in the mountains. This way, Yi Hua's enemy won't be able to find him. Qingya instantly planned out countless escape plans in her mind. Her originally good mood was completely gone, and her heart was filled with worry. Looking at the ordinary Yi Hua, that relaxed look of his, is he faking it for me to see? This scoundrel is really hiding everything from me, doesn't he know that we are already husband and wife? If there are difficulties, we should face them together. What a male chauvinist. Although I don't have any abilities, at least my brain is enough, and I am also very rich. I definitely have enough funds to escape, and I definitely won't starve. Yi Hua, who was fishing, completely didn't know what Qingya was thinking in her little head. If he knew, he would definitely smack her head. Am I the kind of person who is hiding from my enemy? If I really want to bring out my enemy, it would be those overlords. It's good to find them, I don't have to look for them myself. Yi Hua stretched out his hand. Qingya picked up the orange and placed it in Yi Hua's hand, then snorted and looked at the other side. Looking at Qingya's angry look, Yi Hua couldn't understand. The speed at which this woman's face changes is faster than flipping a book. Boss, looking at the situation, I'm afraid that it will break out from the ground tonight. Wei Chang placed the fish that he caught into the bucket and said lightly. Yi Hua nodded his head, he didn't put it in his heart at all. Lai Gu didn't have the mood to fish at all and said softly, Boss, let me go and do something. If your balls are in pain, then go and find your woman. Yi Hua silently lit up a stick of cigarette. Understood. Lai Gu immediately put down the fishing rod in his hand, then turned around and walked towards his woman. After that, he pulled Wen Xia, who had a bashful look, and ran into the forest. Meanwhile, Tang Wei, who was chopping vegetables, had a look of curiosity on her face. Qingya snorted coldly. What kind of subordinate will have what kind of boss? Since subordinates are frivolous by nature, the boss will definitely not be any better. Thinking back to the time when I met Yi Hua just now, he was flirting with a good girl. Boss, are we really not going to do anything this time? Wei Chang asked curiously. Yi Hua took a puff of his cigarette and stared at the water. Do you still remember the question that I asked you yesterday? Problem. That subordinate of yours. Yi Hua reminded. Wei Chang recalled what his honor meant, but he still didn't understand what his honor meant. Your subordinate is slow-witted. Flicking away the cigarette ash, Yi Hua said calmly, according to the words of the humans, we are not part of their circle. However, it is different now, we have their people. Boss, you are talking about that woman? Wei Chang's eyes lit up. If that woman didn't appear, the two of you would have gone to play today. However, I have changed my mind. Wei Chang still didn't quite understand and was very confused. Yi Hua continued, sometimes, humans will be unscrupulous in order to achieve their goals. Even if it means ruining a woman's innocence and making her wish that she was dead, if I were to make use of that woman, I would be able to pick up a butcher's knife and kill my own kind. How interesting would that be? Wei Chang finally understood and said in submission, boss is brilliant. Remember back then, how many humans were abandoned by their companions? If I had taken them in back then, they would have become a sharp sword. However, it is a pity that back then, I was too foolish, and the consequences were even more devastating. Speaking up to here, Yi Hua's voice became gloomy. Your Honor. We are also at fault, don't push all of the responsibility onto yourselves. As your boss, not being able to look at the big picture is a failure. Yi Hua let out a breath. After being a human for 5 years, only then did I understand what is called looking at the big picture. Thinking back to everything that happened in the past, I feel that I am just like a child playing house, very childish. Killing countless people is nothing more than silently killing people. Those Supremes had indeed taught him a lesson. Wei Chang, this world is not that simple. Just treat it as a practice, so that in the future, you will be able to continue conquering the world with me. Subordinate understands. A trace of bloodthirstiness flashed past Wei Chang's eyes, and a scene had already appeared in his mind. His honor was standing in the center position, and behind him were the 7 sins from back then, and beneath his feet were all human skeletons. Have your little skeleton make preparations, whether or not that female sect leader will be able to change sides will depend on him. Yi Hua flicked away the cigarette but that was in his hand, then drew an arc in the air and landed on the surface of the water. Yes. Qingya pursed her sexy cherry lips. These two fellows are actually whispering to each other and acting so sneakily, they definitely don't have any good intentions. What kind of words can't be said in front of me? This is infuriating. Boss, the meat is already roasted. Tang Wei shouted out. Qingya, go and bring the meat over. Yi Hua shouted out. Not going. Yo, watch how I am going to take care of you tonight. Unexpectedly, Qingya went back into the tent while panting with rage. Yi Hua stood up and decided that there was no need to wait until night time. I am going to go and teach her a lesson right now on how to be a wife. The 3 maids first looked at the lady boss who went back into the tent, then looked at the boss who went back into the tent. Immediately, they thought of something and their faces became slightly red. The relationship between the boss and the lady boss sure is good. Tang Wei secretly took a look at Uncle Wei, and upon discovering that Uncle Wei was also looking at her, Tang Wei immediately lowered her head. There are only 3 tents today, I definitely have to be together with Uncle Wei. Upon thinking about this, Tang Wei's heart started thumping. Seeing Tang Wei's shy look, and the way she dressed up today, Wei Chang's gradually aging heart slowly recovered. However, before that, I still have to complete the task that his honor had given me. Death Mage. Wei Chang did not summon Death Mage, rather, he was merely sending a message over a long distance. Death Mage. Wei Chang called out once again. Why is there no response? Death Mage. Cough, 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 Master. You woman, don't come over. Master, sorry, please wait a moment. Death Mage's tone was very panicked. Wei Chang let out a breath. After quite a while, Death Mage replied, Master, I have knocked that woman unconscious, no one will disturb our conversation anymore. N? Ah. Who allowed you to knock her unconscious? Wei Chang was puzzled, and soon after, he was greatly startled. Master? His honor gave you a new task. Wei Chang said gravely. Death Mage's eyes flickered with red light. His honor finally gave me a task. It is definitely that kind of bloody and violent task. Subordinate will not hesitate to risk my life. Very good. His honor's task is to make that human woman fall madly in love with you. Wei Cheng felt that this was exactly what his honor meant. Chapter 143. Since you don't speak, I'll take it that you agree. There's a chance today. Take it. Wei Cheng cut off the connection. On the other side, Death Mage had a stupefied look on his face as he looked at the woman who had fainted. Make her fall in love with me. Perhaps it was possible to turn her into a skeleton. After all, she was a bit ugly and not as good-looking as a skeleton. She was also uncomfortable to the touch because she was too fleshy and not hard enough. In the tent. Seeing that Yi Hua walked in, Qingye said coldly, "Don't come in, get out." Yi Hua directly sat down and said faintly, "This is my tent, why can't I come in?" Seeing that Qingye was about to stand up and leave, Yi Hua said unhurriedly, "The other two tents belong to Wei Cheng and Lai Gu. You are shameless." Qingye scolded, and her small fists immediately punched towards Yi Zichen. Meanwhile, Yi Hua grabbed onto Qingye's wrist, "Other than here, you can't go anywhere else." "I'm going back." "Go back. The road is full of trees, and I'm afraid it will be dark before you can walk out of here. There are many wild beasts in this wilderness." Qingye glared at him and said angrily, "You schemed against me." Yi Hua did not speak and slowly laid down. Meanwhile, Qingye snorted and laid on the other side of the bed. After a while, Yi Hua said faintly, "I allow you to come over." This sentence of Yi Hua's caused Qingye to be angered to the point of laughing. To even allow it, he is simply a narcissist. "Aren't you going to come closer?" "Forget it, there are plenty of women I want to rely on." "You dare." Qingye sat up and glared at Yi Hua. Meanwhile, a trace of a smile appeared on the corner of Yi Hua's mouth. Qingye immediately felt that she had been fooled. "I knew that he didn't have any good intentions." "Humph, you can sleep by yourself." How could Yi Hua let Qingye off so easily? Yi Hua stretched out his hand and hugged onto Qingye. Qingye cried out in surprise and fell into Yi Hua's embrace. "What are you doing? What do you think I'm doing? You are shameless." Qingye's face immediately became red. "There are still people outside." Yi Hua snorted coldly, "I never had a face in the past. To think that you are still the supreme overlord, you just like to act cool in front of me," Qingye snorted. In actuality, in her heart, she was very happy. In the end, isn't it still you who took the initiative to ask for peace? Pa Yi Hua patted lightly. "You spanked me. Who asked you to be disobedient?" Yi Hua said coldly. Right now, it was time for Yi Hua to be taught a lesson. Who knew that Qingye would not be afraid of Yi Hua? Raising her arm, Qingye slapped Yi Hua's butt. Yi Hua was completely stupefied. Meanwhile, when Qingye saw Yi Hua's current appearance, she immediately cowered and did not dare to look straight at Yi Hua. "Do you know what you did just now?" Yi Hua said gravely. Qingye lowered her head and said softly, "I don't know." "Admit your mistake. Do you believe that I won't smack your butt into mush?" Yi Hua said fiercely, and his hand was already raised high into the air. Qingye was startled, then immediately became terrified. I was wrong, why are you so petty? Didn't I just spank your butt once? You have already spanked me so many times." Yi Hua laughed in his heart. "Qingye, how can you be a match for me?" While hugging onto the woman in his embrace, Yi Hua said faintly, "Do you know that you were wrong for the past few days?" "Humph." He raised his hand. "I was wrong." Yi Hua was very satisfied. "Do you dare to do it again next time?" Qingye bit onto her lips. "This is also because I don't have the strength, otherwise, would have spanked your butt until it becomes swollen. I don't dare to do it again." Qingye said pitifully. After pausing for a moment, Yihua asked gravely, "Doll, how did you come here? Where did you put my doll?" Upon thinking about this matter, Qingye sent her little fist towards Yihua. "I burned it. Doll, even if you burn one of me, there are still thousands and thousands of me." Qingye said petulantly, "What are you doing? It's free, it's very cute. It deserves to die for sleeping with my woman. Go to hell." Qingye was amused by Yihua, as expected of a jealous king in the cultivation world. However, Qingye liked this kind of Yihua. Within being overbearing, there was a trace of doting, just like those overbearing CEOs that I read when I was in school. "Are we going to quarrel again next time?" Yihua asked. "Not quarrel anymore." "What if we quarrel?" "It's all my fault." "What if it's all my fault?" "Then it's definitely my fault first." Yihua really wanted to record these words down, then flaunt it once and see how I, the supreme overlord, teach women. I wonder where those men who are afraid of their wives come from. Without any effort, Qingye admitted defeat. However, in Qingye's heart, it was Yihua who admitted defeat first, and I gave him face and gave him a way out. Suddenly, Yihua pressed Qingye down onto his body. Qingye looked at Yihua dumbfoundedly. Meanwhile, Yihua couldn't help but kiss onto Qingye, expressing that he had wanted to kiss her for a long time. "This woman is making me more and more infatuated with her." After a long time, the two separated from each other, and Qingye said coquettishly, You liar. Liar? Feign ignorance. I don't know who said it, but I won't touch the same woman twice." Qingye imitated Yihua's tone and said weirdly. Yihua went into a slight daze, then said faintly, "I will lie to whoever I want to lie to." Shameless. No credibility. Big liar. Woo. However, right now, not only was Yihua enjoying the kiss, he even stretched his hand onto Qingye's body. This caused Qingye to immediately push Yihua away, then ran out with a red face. Looking at Qingye who ran away, Yihua pursed his lips. "We are already an old couple, why are you still being shy?" However, when the people outside saw the lady boss running out with a red face, she had a look of, as expected, on her face. Wei Chang's reverence towards his honor rose to another level. However, Lai Gu had yet to return. At the same time, there was another woman who was about to go crazy. At an old residential area in Long'an City, this place was basically rented out to the public. After Sun Fang came down from the mountain, she conveniently stayed at this place. Right now, Sun Fang was sitting on the sofa with a long sword in her hand. Looking at Death Mage who was playing games, she gasped for breath. "Don't misunderstand, I am tired from fighting. Even now, I still remember that when I woke up in the morning, I saw that face the moment I opened my eyes. Without saying anything, I immediately started fighting, and in the end, I discovered that my spiritual energy was sealed. For the sake of revenge, I followed him wherever he went. I used all kinds of sneak attacks, all kinds of stabs, and even poisoned him with arsenic. In the end, this skeleton was immune to all kinds of poisons, his bones were extremely hard, and even his shoulders were sore. Furthermore, for the sake of revenge, I didn't hesitate to let him stay at this place. How could I possibly sleep under the bridge like him? Furthermore, for the sake of making him not leave and taking the opportunity to take revenge, I even topped up my money to play games, and even bought cigars for him. This enemy of mine even clamored that if I don't top up my money, I will leave. Bayubiubiu, hearing the sound of fishing, Sun Fang powerlessly leaned onto the sofa. My enemy is right in front of me, yet I am actually powerless to do anything. Just how am I supposed to kill this skeleton? Can I stew it? Waiting online. Chapter 144. GGG, Imperial Translation, it's time to top up. Death Mage picked up his phone and knocked on the screen. On the screen, it showed that his balance was not enough. Sun Fang was about to collapse. 2 hours ago, she had given him 500 yuan. Are you eating money? It's gone so quickly. He did not bring much money with him when he left the sect this time. He only had a few thousand yuan on him because he was bent on revenge. Seeing that the woman on the sofa did not have any reaction, Death Mage started typing on his phone. If you're not going to top up, I'm leaving. A blatant threat. So many young geniuses have come up the mountain to ask for her hand in marriage, but this sect leader has never bothered with them. But now, I'm asking a skeleton to stay. This is retribution. Sun Fang threw the phone on the table and coldly shouted, "Charge." Death Mage was not courteous at all, and he immediately started transferring the money to the bank. His actions were done in one go, and it seemed like he had done this many times before. On the other hand, Sun Fang was very angry. Picking up her own sword, she fiercely chopped towards Death Mage's head until the web between her thumb and forefinger started bleeding. However, the black robe that Death Mage was wearing was not even cut open. Seeing that Death Mage had returned the phone to her, Sun Fang took it over. However, when he saw the balance on the card, it was as if he had been struck by lightning. 1 yuan. Sun Fang immediately snatched over Death Mage's phone, only to see that there were more than 10 gold coins, and he actually rushed all of them. Sun Fang covered her forehead and slumped weakly on the sofa. Then, she raised her sword and slashed again. As she slashed, she cursed, "You bastard, I'll chop you to death. How dare you use my money to play games? You don't want to eat, but I still want to eat. I'll hack you to death." Bayubiubiu, Sun Fang was speechless. Looking at the cigars on the table, Sun Fang's gaze hardened. She took one out, walked into the kitchen, and took out a blue bottle from her backpack. Ecstasy powder. This poison was in the form of powder and could be added to drinking water. It could also be ignited and floated in the air. It was an essential medicine for killing and robbing people. Furthermore, it was extremely precious. Sun Fang did not want to waste it, but she had no other choice. He added the ecstasy powder into the cigar. "Suck you to death, you bastard." After she was done, Sun Fang took a deep breath and walked out of the kitchen. Looking at Death Mage, who was playing the game with a serious expression, Yu Yang slowly walked over and stretched out the cigar in his hand. Without even looking at Sun Fang, Death Mage took the cigar and placed it on his mouth. Seeing that Death Mage did not have the intention to start a fire, Sun Fang let out a breath and calmed herself down. Picking up the lighter, Yu Yang personally lit the fire for Death Mage. The southern girl was actually reduced to lighting a fire for a skeleton. She really wanted to die. But he was about to die. Death Mage took a deep breath. Smoke had yet to come out from his mouth, but his body was already smoking. Sun Fang's gaze congealed. Looking at the drifting smoke, she seemed to have thought of something, and immediately covered her nose and ran towards the window. Fiercely opening the window, Sun Fang took a deep breath. She was so angry that she became muddle-headed. GGG, Imperial Translation, how fragrant. Cough cough cough. Sun Fang leaned against the window and coughed violently. She even coughed up blood. Death Mage played around and smoked whatever he wanted to, but he was completely fine. On the other hand, Death Mage himself was poisoned. Before he could take his revenge, he would die in front of his enemy. Most importantly, he had poisoned himself to death. Heavens! What did I, Sun Fang, do wrong to make you treat me like this? Death Mage took a look at the woman who was leaning against the window and thought to himself, this woman is too stingy. Didn't I just use a few coins from you? Just because of this, he wanted to commit suicide. Sun Fang turned around and glared at Death Mage. Even if I'm going to die, I'm going to turn into a ghost and kill him. Death Mage sighed powerlessly, then shot out a black fog from his bony finger into Sun Fang's body. Sun Fang laughed coldly. You don't need to do anything. This sect leader is going to die too. However, I won't let you off in this lifetime. At the moment of death, Sun Fang suddenly felt that her breathing was smooth. Her feet were no longer numb, and her hands were no longer sore. She could climb several floors in one breath. Why? Why must even death be exploited? Sun Fang threw herself on the sofa and cried loudly, looking so wronged and helpless. Bayubiubiu, there was nothing more important than fishing in this world. Beside the waterfall, Lai Gu had yet to return. Qingya's little face was blushing red as she threw the small stones, scaring the little fishes underwater to the point that they started swimming in all directions. This woman is so terrifying. Sneaking a glance at Yi Hua, she discovered that Yi Hua was also looking at her, and her heart started beating wildly. This scoundrel, everything that he said in the past were all lies, and right now, he actually dares to make a move on me, damn scoundrel. That's right. I forgot to ask him about that matter. No, I still have to ask him clearly. If it really doesn't work, I'll just run. With a blushing face, Qingya pulled Yi Hua into the tent again. The few people outside the tent went into a daze. The lady boss's desire is really not satisfied. Seeing that Qingya was so anxious, Yi Hua smiled lightly. What? It is not even night time yet, and you are already impatient? Impatient my ass, let me ask you something. Qingya said solemnly. Come into my embrace first. Can you be a bit more serious? I like the feeling of hugging you. Qingya went into a daze. Did this man become enlightened recently? He knows how to make me happy now. However, being able to hear what Yi Hua said, Qingya still felt sweet in her heart. She shifted her body and leaned into Yi Hua's embrace. Meanwhile, Yi Hua lightly hugged the woman in his embrace and caressed her beautiful hair, feeling very comfortable. Didn't you say that you are going to take wedding photos? You choose a date. Yi Hua said faintly. Qingya smiled, her smile was exceptionally beautiful, and said tenderly, then, you better not regret it. Do I look like someone who will regret it? Bragging again. Yi Hua stretched out his hand and flicked Qingya's forehead. Why did you hit me again? I like it. Qingya rubbed onto her forehead and said earnestly, I have something to ask you. Speak. Are you being chased? Qingya sat up and looked at Yi Hua nervously. Meanwhile, Yi Hua was also stupefied by Qingya's question. I, the Supreme Overlord, am being chased. What a huge joke. However, looking at Qingya's nervous expression, Yi Hua decided to tease this foolish woman. Suddenly, Yi Hua's expression became downcast. Looking at Yi Hua's expression, Qingya knew that she guessed correctly. Yi Hua, don't scare me. Yi Hua let out a heavy sigh. Qingya, it is still not too late for you to leave now. Hearing what Yi Hua said, Qingya's beautiful eyes immediately turned red, and she hugged onto Yi Hua's waist. I don't want to. GGG. I, the Supreme Overlord, am able to see through your heart with just a little bit of tricks. Properly give birth to the child. Yi Hua said gravely. Qingya sobbed uncontrollably. Yi Hua, let's run. I will go and sell the company, that money is more than enough for us to use. Yi Hua was slightly startled. I know that the company is very important to Qingya, and right now, Qingya is actually willing to sell the company for me. Lightly caressing onto the foolish woman in his embrace, Yi Hua said faintly, where are we going then? Anywhere is fine. Chapter 145. Qingya was anxious, then what should we do? Let's call the police. No, it's completely useless. Looking at Qingya's expression, Yi Hua finally couldn't help but laugh. Qingya went into a daze for a moment, then said fiercely, are you playing with me? You are the one who is too stupid, it's already good enough that I don't chase after others. You. I was so worried about you just now, and you still dare to tease me, Yi Hua. I will fight it out with you. Humph, come at me. Immediately, the tent began to shake violently. The people outside were all stupefied. This is too passionate, right? However, Lai Gu still hasn't returned. At this very moment, at a place 10 kilometers away from the waterfall, there was a place surrounded by green trees, birds were chirping, and flowers were fragrant. It was a pretty good utopia, but the precondition was that there was no one around. Although it looked like there was no one around, if one were to carefully sense it, the surroundings were filled with people, and they were just using a special technique to conceal themselves. In the cave at the side, a few big shots were gathered together. Their expressions were stern, and they were discussing something. That's right. They are the people from the north, and they are here to snatch something. Among them, there was an old face, Tang Wushuang. What was worth noting was that beside Tang Wushuang, there was a handsome man who had an imposing appearance, and he faintly gave off the aura of a person in a high position. He was the northern hidden aristocratic family, Yi Shao. Everyone present was very respectful towards him, and they didn't dare to offend him. The other three people were from sects with strength in the north. Supreme Intent Pavilion Master, He Feng Summer Lane Master, Shuzhen Hai Phoenix King Pavilion Master, Man Kai. Although these powers weren't the full strength of the north, they were still a sharp sword that pierced the enemy's heart at the crucial moment. Yi Family Head, since you are here this time, I reckon that you will be able to get twice the result with half the effort. Supreme Intent Pavilion Master He Feng said with a smile. This person was rather skinny, and he looked a bit wretched. Yi Shao swept his gaze across everyone and said, I am here because of Brother Tang's invitation. A single sentence caused the three big shots to hold back. Hidden aristocratic families are indeed awesome, aren't they? They still want to keep the ancient godly item for themselves, but they are too embarrassed to show themselves. If the other hidden aristocratic families were to find out, they would incur the wrath of the public and be attacked by the public. Big Brother Yi, I am afraid. Tang Wushuang cupped his hands and said with a smile. To be able to invite Yi Shao, it could be said that Tang Wushuang had put in a lot of effort, and the price he had to pay was to rely on Yi clan in the future. However, as long as he could obtain an ancient godly item, who could tell what would happen in the future? Yi Shao patted on Tang Wushuang's shoulder. When the time comes, just leave the opponent's experts to me. As for the ancient godly item, you must definitely get your hands on it. We can't let the southerners take it. Don't worry, Big Brother Yi. I will do my best. The owner of Summer Lane, Shu Zhenhai, was a big fatty. His face was oily and shiny, and he looked like a pig. This was the most appropriate description. To be on the safe side, I've also called for backup. Shu Zhenhai clapped his hands. Yi Shao saw a black figure walk in from outside the cave, and an oppressive feeling assaulted him. He could not help but frown, and two words appeared in his mind. An expert. This person was wearing a black cloak. That's right. He was the man from the arcade. The Phoenix King Pavilion Master smiled. Everyone sure is cautious. Yi Xiao's expression quickly darkened. Let me introduce. Shu Zhenhai's chin trembled, and his pair of eyes were about to sink into his flesh. The cloaked man snorted, No need, I am called Emperor Tsang. Such arrogant words. Yi Xiao's eyes narrowed. I hate this kind of man who likes to act cool the most. To think that he would even dare to act cool in front of me, especially when his name has the word Emperor in it. Emperor Tsang's pitch-black eyes immediately looked towards Yi Xiao. Yi Xiao snorted. If you want to play, I will play with you. They looked at each other. Don't look down on this kind of looking at each other, there was a lot to pay attention to. Because when the two of them were releasing their aura, the one who was weaker would definitely move his gaze first. However, 1 minute later, the two of them seemed to be evenly matched. If they were to continue competing, it might cause a commotion, and it wouldn't be good if they were discovered by others. The two of them seemed to have come to an agreement, and they retracted their gaze at the same time. Emperor Tsang didn't expect that these people would be able to invite such external help. The strength of the external help is not bad, but it will disrupt my plans. Brother Tang, since it's like this, I will be leaving first. Yi Xiao said faintly, then turned around and left. In actuality, coming here this time was a very big risk. If the other aristocratic families were to find out about this, the consequences would be unthinkable. Right now, I just happen to have an excuse to leave, just that I lack the strength of Tang family. Forget it, compared to Tang family's vote, Yi family itself is the most important. Big brother Yi. Tang Wushuang didn't want Yi Xiao to leave just like that. With Yi Xiao around, the chances of me snatching the ancient godly item would be higher. If Yi Xiao was determined to leave, no one would be able to make him stay. On the other hand, Xu Zhenhai was smiling to the point that his eyes couldn't be seen. With Yi Xiao leaving, things will be much easier to deal with. Tang Wushuang's expression was extremely bad. I won't let them take advantage of me. After snorting coldly, Tang Wushuang left as well. Before the battle even started, 2 of the North's great generals had already left. This could only mean that they weren't united, or that it was because of Emperor Tsang's arrival. Everyone, let's talk about the plan. Emperor Tsang looked at the 3 people in front of him and said with a smile. On the surface, I was invited over by Xu Zhenhai, but in private, I have already reached an agreement with Yi Feng and Man Kai, just that they didn't know about it. Especially this fatty, the other 2 are much smarter than you. Man Kai kept his smile and said gravely, this time, there is only us from the north, the others did not make a move. After all, almost all of the South's powers are here, and the South's aristocratic families might even be secretly protecting us, not to mention those mysterious existences from the South. Last time, we let Xiao Yi take advantage of us. This time, when we went to invite him over, he went into closed-door training. Xu Zhenhai snorted coldly. Yi Feng shook his sleeves, he already has a Xianyuan sword, if he were to come and snatch the ancient godly item from us, then he would be the one who doesn't know what's good for him. Emperor Tsang didn't say anything and closed his eyes to listen. After a long while, Emperor Tsang slowly said, when the ancient godly item is unearthed, the South will definitely be the first to snatch the ancient godly item. Xu Zhenhai laughed loudly. What Emperor Tsang said is right, when the ancient godly item is unearthed, the South will definitely be the first to snatch the ancient godly item. Yi Feng and Man Kai laughed but didn't say anything. You are still counting the money after being sold. Looking at the 3 idiots, Emperor Tsang revealed out a trace of an evil smile. Report. A disciple from Extreme Will Pavilion could be seen running over quickly. Pavilion Master, we can't get in touch with a team that was arranged 10 miles away. He Feng's gaze became serious. I will go and take a look. Wait. Emperor Tsang said. He Feng looked at Emperor Tsang suspiciously. The war is imminent, don't create unnecessary problems. If we were to fall into the enemy's trap, it would be bad. Just send someone over to take a look. He Feng heaved a sigh of relief, then immediately gave the order. Thinking about it, he felt a lingering fear. If they had gone over rashly just now and fallen into the enemy's trap, then it would be over. Chapter 146. Beside the waterfall. Lai Gu had not returned yet. Yi Hua and Qingye, who was flushed red, walked out of the tent together. Qingye covered her pretty face with her hands, and she almost didn't have the face to see anyone. Didn't I just leave you hanging for a few days? How can there be such a vengeful person who is so aggressive? Your figure is getting better and better. Yi Hua said with a smile, then went back to fishing. Towards this kind of teasing, what else could Qingye do? I can only hope that the heavens will send down divine power to smack Yi Hua's butt and let him know how formidable I am. Looking at the smile on his honor's face, Wei Chang felt very happy as well. His honor is becoming more and more like a human. Congratulations on your honor regaining your wife's heart. Easy. Yi Hua picked up the fishing rod, indicating that he would be able to easily catch Qingye. What do you mean by easy? Qingye walked over and questioned Wei Chang. Wei Chang immediately turned his head around, expressing that he did not know anything. Yi Hua tossed out his fishing rod and snorted, I said that fishing is easy. Qingye took a look at the bucket beside Yihua. It was really a piece of cake. I don't believe that no fish will take the bait. Not only was Lai Gu unable to catch any fishes, Yihua who was his honor was also the same. However, Yihua was still able to sit still. Looking at Wei Chang, there were countless small fishes and a few big fishes. Give me the fishing rod. Qingye shouted out. The people at the back immediately sent fishing rods. He skillfully hooked up the bait and cast the fishing rod. What are you looking at? Haven't you seen me fishing before? Qingye rolled her eyes at Yihua. Bibi? Let's compete then, what are we betting on? Qingye was in a good mood and said tenderly. Speak. That's good. The loser has to buy breakfast for a week. Qingye raised her chin and said confidently. All right. This stupid woman still wants to win. Doesn't she know that if I, the Supreme Overlord, want to win is actually very simple? All I have to do is to slightly move my hands and feet. The corner of Wei Chang's mouth rose. His honor is even going to cheat in a bet with the madam, so he will definitely win. No, wait. He could cheat in his bet with Tang Bingyao and easily win the prize. His honor is truly brilliant. Every single action of his honor is able to benefit me greatly, and every single word of his honor contains all kinds of profound principles. His honor is becoming more and more powerful. After a long while. I'm not fishing anymore. You cheated. Qingye snorted. A loss is a loss. Yihua said faintly. Qingye said petulantly, next time when you cheat, can you not be so exaggerated? You have to understand balance. Equilibrium. That's right, look at the inside of your bucket, you have been fishing for the entire morning and there is still not a single fish in your bucket. On the other hand, after fishing with me for half an hour, my bucket was completely filled. This cheating is way too obvious. If you were to control the number of fish that we have together, in the end, you would be able to win with a small advantage. At that time, no one would know that you were cheating. You are so stupid. Qingye stretched out her finger and poked Yihua's forehead. Logically speaking, Yihua would definitely fly into a rage. However, he didn't, because Yihua had figured out a problem. This problem had even appeared in the 7 deadly sins in the past, and after Qingye explained it to him, Yihua immediately understood the problem. Leveling was the work of a boorish man. A wise man could control a boorish man. Yihua stretched out his hand and pinched onto Qingye's face. All right, I will buy it for you. Humph, humph, this is more like it. Quickly remove your spell, I still want to fish. Qingye laughed tenderly. I feel that Yihua's temper is much better right now. After a long while, Yihua said faintly, a certain someone's ability to act cool has not changed at all. You must have cheated again. Then, what is the reason for me to cheat? Yihua lit up a cigarette and asked. Qingye pouted her mouth, isn't it because you want to see me make a fool of myself? I'm not that bored. Yihua's index finger slightly moved, and the shoal of fishes under the water began swimming freely again. Alright, I, Yihua, am just that bored. Wei Chang who was at the side memorized every single action of his honor. The more he thought about it, the more astonished he became. This is too profound. I feel that I and Xiao Tang will be able to do that very soon. Boss, I am back. Lai Gu could be seen carrying Wen Xia who was unconscious and walking out from the forest at the side. After placing Wen Xia into his tent, Lai Gu ran over to fish happily. After sitting for a while, Lai Gu felt that the atmosphere wasn't right and asked puzzledly, what's wrong? How many hours have you been gone for? Wei Chang asked. Not that long, just a few hours. Lai Gu said indifferently. Seems like today can be considered to be rather short. Yihua turned his head around and looked towards Qingye. Qingye immediately knew what Yihua was thinking about, and she immediately punched towards Yihua. Bai Xiaozhen walked over to the tent and checked on Wen Xia's injuries. Bai Xiaozhen and Tang Wei continued to take care of the food. Xiao Tang, you take care of this place first, I will be back very soon. Yihua said gravely. Alright, Sister Iran. After saying that, Yihua disappeared, because she felt that there were some small flies that came over to disturb the boss's rest. A few minutes later, Yihua came back, and not even a strand of his hair floated out. Yihua and the others naturally felt that Yihua came back, and he said to Lai Gu and Wei Chang, both of you did well. Thank you for your praise, boss. Thank you for your praise, boss. Qingya was confused. I don't understand what they are talking about. Is this a code word? The sky gradually darkened, and everyone sat on the chairs and began enjoying the delicacies. Meanwhile, Yihua stood up and raised his wine cup. Everyone didn't dare to be negligent and immediately stood up. Of course, this included the four maids as well. Among them, when Xia was extremely shy, the redness on her face had yet to fade away. Yihua said faintly, it has been a long time since I came out, I am very happy this time, cheers. Boss being happy is our happiness. Other than Qingya, everyone shouted out in unison. This made Qingya feel like she was an outsider. After sitting down, Yihua said to Qingya, weren't you curious about the so-called cultivation world? Today, I will let you take a look. Without waiting for Qingya to reply, Yihua waved his hand, and a light blue halo appeared above the dining table. Just like a holographic image, many people appeared in the holographic image, and every single one of them had an excited expression on their face. Yihua said faintly, everyone, let's eat while watching. Qingya stared at the holographic image without blinking, completely unable to care about eating. Yihua didn't stop her. It is time for Qingya to come into contact with the cultivation world. However, I have to do it slowly, I'm afraid that she won't be able to accept it. However, other than Qingya, Tang Wei was also attracted by the holographic image. Those three celebrities were still alright, they were eating while watching. As for Yihua, Wei Chang, and Lai Gu, they didn't really care about the holographic image. Perhaps, the three of them would only take a look at the holographic image when the little skeleton appears. At a place that was 20 kilometers away from where Yihua was, a huge mountain was basically flattened, and there were all kinds of excavators placed around the mountain. At the center of the mountain, there was a hole that had a diameter of 20 meters, and the hole was connected to the underground. Standing at the side of the hole were Wang Debao, Zhou Xinran, Zhi Anyun, Guang Tianlu, Hai Daixi, Che Zhishuan, Yang Yi, Gu Zheng, and Cloud Sect's new sect master, Sun Yi. She was Sun Fang's junior sister. What they wanted was only the ancient godly item, and they didn't have any thoughts about those treasures. It's out! It's out! It's out! The people inside the hole could be heard letting out excited cheers, and at this moment, everyone's heart was in their throats. What is the ancient godly item that appeared this time? Sword? Armor? And it's even an artifact. Chapter 147. Long and City's wealthy merchant Yuyusi hurriedly ran over and said, Alliance Master Hai, what do you think? Yusi, take the treasures and leave. Hai Daixi's gaze was fixed on the white jade coffin. As long as he could obtain this ancient godly item, the special ability world would no longer need to be afraid of the cultivation world. Hai Daixi could almost see the rise of the Esper world. Yusi and a few other rich merchants immediately left. There was going to be a fight soon, so it was better for ordinary people to leave as soon as possible. The ordinary people quickly retreated, but at this time, countless people appeared in the air and on the ground. They stood behind their leaders, and tens of thousands of people surrounded the white jade coffin. A great battle was about to break out. Wang Debao stood out and said with a smile, how are we going to split this ancient godly item? Of course not, Zhou Xian Ran of the Zhou family said calmly. The pavilion master of Traceless Pavilion, Gai Zheng, laughed out loud. How about rock paper scissors? I'm quite knowledgeable about it. Ha, childish. I know a new way to play fight the landlord. Why don't we have a showdown to prevent blood from flowing like a river? Dry Zen sect's Che Zhishuan shouted. Cloud sect's new sect master, Sun Yi, said with a tender voice, everyone, please calm down. I feel that all ancient godly items have their own consciousness, and they will definitely choose their own master. Ji Anyan of the Ji family adjusted his glasses and sneered, what right does a woman who has slept with all the elders have to speak? Sun Yi's gaze turned cold. Watch your mouth. The Guang clan's clan head, Guang Tianlu, who had been silent all this while, said indifferently, if you don't sleep with the elders, would you be able to ascend to the position so quickly? How dare you? Our sect master is not someone you can slander. Cloud sect's disciples shouted loudly, all of them drawing their swords. Sun Yi smiled faintly and said, there's no proof for your words. It seems like my Cloud sect has something to say. In that case, we can only fight with our true strength. Wang Debao spread out his hands, let's fight then. Fight until there is only one clan left, and the ancient godly item will be his. The few big shots nodded their heads. How could there be no bloodshed when snatching an ancient godly item? Just as the few parties were preparing to start fighting, a lump of black void appeared in the middle of the battlefield. Death Mage could be seen walking out with a scythe in his hand and a cigar in his mouth. There was also a woman hugging onto him. Everyone present was dumbfounded. Sun Fang, who was in Death Mage's embrace, was also stupefied. 1 minute ago. In the rented apartment. Death Mage had already charged his phone fully, just in case his phone ran out of battery while he was playing. He did not want to top up his balance for the time being. The cigar had also been prepared, it was time to set off. But before he left, he still had to ask Baidu how to make a woman fall madly in love with a skeleton. However, the search failed. Let's replace the skeleton with a man. As expected, a lot of answers appeared, and Death Mage felt that none of them were suitable for him. He had to have meat first. A hero saving a damsel in distress. She is too ugly, subtly showing off to win the heart of a beauty. This could be considered. GGG, Imperial Translation, ugly woman, I'm bringing you out to show off. Sun Fang was so tired from crying that she fell asleep. She opened her red and swollen eyes and immediately got up to attack. Even Sun Fang, who possessed spiritual power, was not Death Mage's opponent, let alone Sun Fang, who did not possess any spiritual power. Reaching out, he summoned Dark Void and stepped inside. That's what happened a minute ago. The southern girl's eyes were red as she leaned against a skeleton, and her hands seemed to be beating the skeleton's chest. How could such a scene not cause one's imagination to run wild? The tens of thousands of people who were present immediately started whispering to each other. TSK, 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 this Cloud sect master sure is licentious, she really did it with a skeleton. Does the skeleton even have one? Look at that girl, she even started crying. The big one was done by the skeleton, and the small one was done by the elder. So this Cloud sect is a den of lust. That's right, I originally thought that sect master Sun was framed, but from the looks of it, her taste is indeed unique. What do you all know? This is called bone-hugging legs. Do you know who this black robe is? The black robe that is fighting against Xiao Yi. Otherwise, do you think that Sun Fang would serve him? F***K, there is such a thing, this woman is indeed licentious enough, she even pretended to be a saintess in the past, TSK, tisk. Sun Fang's originally red face gradually became deathly pale. Although they were speaking very softly, their words still entered into her ears. Sun Yi could be seen walking a few steps forward and saying with a smile, "Senior sister, why did you suddenly appear here? It can't be that you have a backer now, so you want to come and snatch me, right?" The big shots who had been secretly in love with Sun Fang completely gave up. Just based on the scene just now, their goddess must have definitely been pleasured to the heavens by the skeleton. Filthy pervert. Qing Lei sect master said gravely, "Sun Fang, I have misjudged you. I didn't expect that you would abandon yourself and become a female slave of a skeleton. Sun Fang, why did you have to do this? In the past, you said that you wouldn't look for a man in your entire life, but now, you, sigh. Hai Daisy lamented bitterly, and tears of regret flowed out from his eyes. Dry Zen sect Master Che Zhishuan said faintly, Sun Fang indeed didn't look for a man, what she looked for was a skeleton. When Che Zhishuan said those words, everyone laughed. Sun Fang had a bewildered look on her face as she pushed Death Mage away and took a few steps forward woodenly. You all have misunderstood, it isn't what you all think. Sun Fang roared loudly. Why is everyone misunderstanding me? How can I possibly be together with a skeleton? I want to take revenge. Traceless Pavilion's Gai Zheng said faintly, Sun Fang, you disappoint me too much. I didn't expect that you are this kind of woman, you truly threw away the face of our cultivation world. Sect Master Sun, quickly go back to your daddy skeleton's embrace. Daddy skeleton's fingers are very long, but they are too thin. My fingers are just right for you, do you want them or not? Those disciples immediately started using their taunting skills. Sun Fang clenched her fists tightly, and upon seeing that, Death Mage immediately released the seal on Sun Fang. Boom! Sun Fang's body could be seen emitting a bright light that soared straight into the sky, lighting up everything within a radius of a mile. Everyone was stupefied. She actually broke through at this time. A purple longsword condensed in Sun Fang's hand, and light immediately shot out in all directions. Why aren't you all willing to believe me? Why? Sun Fang roared towards the sky, then casually waved the purple longsword in her hand. A purple crescent-shaped sword chi pierced through the sky and slashed towards the crowd of people. The sword chi slashed out a deep ravine, and within the ravine, severed limbs were all from those people who were mocking her just now. A red light flashed past Death Mage's eyes. This woman is very savage. No wonder his honor wanted her to fall madly in love with me, that way, I would be able to make use of her, his honor is truly formidable. Sun Yi's expression sunk as she shouted out loudly, Senior Martial Sister has fallen into the demonic path, kill her. Sure enough, following Sun Yi's shout, all of Cloud Sect's disciples rushed towards the former sect master. Meanwhile, the other powers that were at the side also started making their move, and several tens of thousands of people started attacking a weak and small woman. Sun Fang slowly put down the long sword in her hand and closed her beautiful eyes. Death is the best release. After waiting for a long time, the pain that Sun Fang imagined didn't come. When Sun Fang opened her eyes, a black robe appeared in front of Sun Fang. Sun Fang was holding onto his scythe, and all of the people in the surroundings were sent flying away by the scythe. Why? Why is it that in the end, it is still my enemy who came to save me? And my family members that I used to be in love with. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.